Beneath the surface of our planet's oceans lies a world as strange and unknown as the stars above. A realm of darkness, silence, and unimaginable pressure. A place where sunlight never reaches and time seems to slow. This is the deep sea. Vast, uncharted, and endlessly mysterious. For centuries, humanity has gazed across the ocean's surface and wondered what lies beneath. Sailors told stories of monstrous creatures and glowing ghosts, of lost cities swallowed by waves, and vessels that vanished without a trace. Today, despite all our satellites and submarines, more than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored, its secrets hidden in watery darkness. In this 3-hour journey, we'll drift gently through the deepest corners of the sea, where science meets myth and the unknown pulses just beyond reach. You'll hear tales of ghostly signals from the abyss, underwater ruins that defy explanation, and creatures that seem more dream than reality. These are not the stories of the surface world. They belong to the hidden depths, where pressure crushes steel and strange lights flicker in the eternal night. Each part of this series will explore a different mystery, 15 in total. From the Mariana Trench to the Devil's Sea, from ancient underwater pyramids to bioluminescent beasts, you'll encounter wonders both haunting and beautiful. Some tales are backed by scientific curiosity. Others remain unproven whispers. All are united by the awe-inspiring enigma of the deep. So find a quiet place. Let your thoughts float weightless, like a jellyfish in the dark. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and allow the soft current of narration to carry you through a world where questions outnumber answers, and where mystery still reigns. Welcome to Deep Sea Mysteries. Number 1. Whispers from the Abyss, the unexplained pulses of the Mariana Trench. As we descend far below the sunlit waves, past coral gardens and the twilight zones where light fades and shadows stretch endlessly, we find ourselves entering a realm few have seen and even fewer understand. This is the Hadal Zone, Earth's final frontier. Lying at depths beyond 6,000 meters, these trenches are named after Hades, the ancient Greek god of the underworld, and for good reason. Here, in the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, an unsolved mystery pulses beneath the crushing blackness. In the darkness of Challenger Deep, nearly 11 kilometers beneath the ocean's surface, scientists have detected strange, rhythmic pulses of sound and faint flickers of light, unexplained, consistent, and persistent over time. Despite decades of research and the most advanced submersibles ever created, we still do not know what causes them. Let us begin our journey here, where pressure would crush most machines, where sunlight has never reached, and where something unknown whispers in sound and shimmer. A symphony in darkness. In 2016, a team of researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, recorded an unusual sound in the Mariana Trench. The sound, dubbed the Western Pacific Bioluminescent, was unlike anything previously catalogued. It lasted for more than 3 seconds, sweeping through a broad range of frequencies from low grumbles to high-pitched chirps. Some believed it might be the call of a baleen whale, possibly a mink. Others weren't so sure. The structure of the sound did not perfectly match known whale vocalizations. Even more curious, these noises were heard at depths where few known animals live and where sound behaves differently due to temperature, salinity, and extreme pressure. Yet that was only part of the puzzle. Over the following years, deep-sea observatories placed within the trench picked up similar acoustic anomalies. Some were brief, others lasted several seconds. Some were tonal and melodic, others mechanical and pulsing. There was no clear pattern, no identifiable source. But what truly startled researchers was when they began recording flashes of light. Yes, light in the darkest place on Earth. Light that shouldn't exist. One might expect a flicker here or there from bioluminescent organisms. In fact, creatures like anglerfish and siphonophores are known to produce light at great depths. But the lights captured by the Deep Discoverer ROV weren't isolated pinpricks. They were pulses, broad, soft flashes like camera shutters going off in the abyss. These glows did not correspond to any known animal behavior. They weren't clearly linked to passing marine life or external light sources. Some even appeared when no biological presence was detected in the surrounding environment. They were silent flashes in the void, timed irregularly and colored faintly in blues and greens. Were they electrical discharges? Some theorized piezoelectric effects caused by tectonic pressure. Others suggested that rare geological or chemical reactions could release energy visible as light. But those explanations remain speculative, untested, and incomplete. When sound and light pulse together in the planet's most remote depths, what are we to make of it? Technology meets the unknown. Our technology for probing the deep ocean has advanced rapidly in the past 2 decades. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, can now dive to the trench floor and relay live footage and data. Yet, even the best machines have limitations in the Hadal Zone. The immense pressure, over 1,000 times that of sea level, means sensors can fail, cameras can crack, and instruments can be compromised by temperature shifts or sediment interference. But more curiously, the anomalies, the sounds and lights, have often occurred just outside the periphery of equipment range. A camera pans right and the light flickers to the left. A sonar begins to sweep, and the sound falls silent. It is as if whatever causes these phenomena reacts to our presence. This has led to fringe theories and strange speculation. Among the more sensational claims are those suggesting that the Mariana Trench may be home to an undiscovered intelligent species, or even a type of unknown sentient energy. Others draw comparisons to Earth's own electromagnetic anomalies, such as the Schumann resonances or strange radio bursts detected from deep space. One theory proposes that deep-sea light pulses are the product of an unknown species of giant bioluminescent jellyfish or cephalopod with distributed nerve centers, capable of coordinated flashing similar to how fireflies synchronize their blinks in the forest canopy. Another hypothesis, drawing from geophysical science, posits that pockets of superheated water trapped below the trench floor may occasionally release steam and gas, sparking chemical luminescence as they rise. But this doesn't explain the acoustic patterns. The theory gaining most traction involves deep subduction faults releasing brief bursts of electromagnetic energy. These would be inaudible and invisible on the surface, but in the dense water of the trench, they might manifest as pulses of pressure and flashes of light, detected as sound and shimmer. Still, these remain theories. The pulses persist, echoes of earthquake or intelligence. In 2019, hydrophones installed for tectonic monitoring detected a sequence of pulses coming in 5-second intervals over a 12-minute span. The pulses repeated with eerie consistency. Not earthquake tremors, not marine life. The signature was clean, mechanical, deliberate. And then it stopped. No aftershocks, no decay, just a sudden beginning and a sudden end. Was it a deep geological process? Could methane pockets collapsing cause such patterns? Some scientists said possibly. Others pointed out the spacing was too uniform, too structured. We know that nature can be surprisingly rhythmic. From pulsars in space to the songs of whales, the universe often dances to patterns. But these deep-sea pulses raised a more disturbing question. What if they weren't natural at all? Messages in the deep? In 2021, a joint expedition from Japan and the United States analyzed frequency modulations within the Mariana pulses. The results, while inconclusive, revealed frequency shifts that resembled binary encoding. Suddenly, a storm of speculation ignited online. Was it communication? A signal? Experts cautioned against overinterpretation. We mustn't jump to alien conclusions, one marine physicist warned. But we must also not ignore anomalies simply because they don't fit our current models. No one is saying it's aliens, but no one can fully rule it out either. The trench guards its secrets, ancient depths, timeless questions. What lives down there? What ancient organisms have adapted over millions of years to thrive in darkness and pressure? Could creatures evolve with sonar capabilities we don't yet understand? Or is it the Earth itself communicating, humming in electromagnetic whispers too faint to hear from the surface? The Hadal Zone covers less than 1% of the ocean, and yet may contain more mystery per cubic meter than anywhere else on Earth. For every sound we record, for every flicker we detect, dozens more go unnoticed. In the Mariana Trench, we are not explorers. We are visitors, brief and clumsy. And something is watching, letting the unknown breathe. Perhaps the most haunting part of this mystery is its persistence. It hasn't gone away. New expeditions continue to detect the pulses. The lights continue to flicker. But no definitive explanation has emerged. We live in an age of answers. Satellites map galaxies. DNA reveals our past. AI predicts everything from traffic to climate. But here, in the deepest place on Earth, the ocean refuses to be known. And maybe in a world obsessed with certainty, that's exactly what we need. Next time, we plunge into the discovery of a sunken plateau beneath the South Pacific that some scientists believe may be an ancient, drowned microcontinent. But for now, let your thoughts drift with the trench. Let the pulses echo. Let the whispers of the abyss rock you into sleep, surrounded by the quiet, breathing mystery of a world we were never meant to conquer. Number 2. The gelatinous creatures of the deep, life forms so bizarre they challenge our definitions of biology. As we leave the crushing stillness of the Hadal trenches behind, our journey through the deep sea takes a turn. From the profound silence of the abyss to a surreal realm of forms and textures that seem too strange to be real. Here, in the twilight and midnight zones of the ocean, where sunlight never dares to reach, life adopts shapes that defy our expectations. It is here that we encounter the gelatinous ones. These are creatures without bones, without shells, and sometimes without discernible faces. Their bodies ripple like ghosts in the water, transparent, pulsing, hypnotic. They do not walk or swim in the ways we understand. They drift, they float, they pulse with life that feels both ancient and alien. They are not built for speed or strength. They are built for the void. Tonight, we drift gently into this world of bioluminescent bells and translucent ribbons, of shapeless beings suspended in the vast, cold dark. Together, we'll meet the deep sea's most mysterious inhabitants, creatures so bizarre, so otherworldly, that they challenge our very definitions of life itself. A world without shape. Imagine a creature that has no skeleton, no brain, no traditional eyes. Yet it can sense, hunt, glow, and reproduce. Now imagine that this creature is nearly invisible in the water. Its body so delicate that even the pressure of a fingertip might destroy it. This is not a fantasy. This is the reality of life in the deep sea. The overwhelming majority of biomass in the ocean's depths is gelatinous. That means that rather than bones, scales, or exoskeletons, these creatures are made primarily of water and a fragile matrix of collagen, proteins, and jelly-like tissues. Their bodies are often more than 95% water. And yet, these life forms thrive in the darkest, coldest, and most high-pressure environments on Earth. The deep sea doesn't reward brute strength or rapid movement. Instead, it favors invisibility, energy efficiency, and softness. In a place where food is scarce, conserving energy is essential. And there's no better way to do that than to float passively, waiting for prey or for the currents to bring sustenance. Among these ghost-like drifters are creatures so surreal they seem like hallucinations. Let us meet them. The Venus girdle, a living ribbon of light. Our descent first brings us into the presence of a creature called the Venus girdle, a type of ctenophore or comb jelly. At first glance, the Venus girdle appears to be nothing more than a shimmering ribbon of glass. It is long, translucent, and undulating, with a body that flutters gently like a silk scarf caught in a breeze. Its sides ripple with the soft pulse of cilia, tiny hair-like structures that beat in waves, propelling the creature forward through the water. These cilia reflect light in dazzling, rainbow-like patterns, casting ripples of color through the darkness. What's most entrancing about the Venus girdle is its bioluminescence. When disturbed, its body lights up with a blue-green glow and eerie internal illumination that seems to pulse in time with its movements. Scientists believe this glow may serve as a defense mechanism, confusing predators or even attracting mates in the vast emptiness of the sea. Despite its beauty, the Venus girdle is a predator. It captures tiny zooplankton in a mucus web that lines its body, floating, glowing, and feeding in near silence. The bloody-belly comb jelly, a flash of crimson in the dark. Deeper still, we find another comb jelly, this one far more dramatic in color. The bloody-belly comb jelly might be one of the most visually striking creatures in the deep sea. While most gelatinous animals rely on transparency to hide, the bloody belly glows with a rich, internal crimson hue. Why red? Because red light doesn't travel well through water, especially at depth. A red-colored creature in the deep sea is effectively invisible. But this comb jelly's red belly may serve another function. It hides the bioluminescent flashes of its prey, keeping the jelly from being seen by lurking predators. And when this comb jelly swims, its rows of cilia sparkle with prismatic light. It's like watching a chandelier drift through midnight water. But its beauty hides mystery. Unlike many of its relatives, the bloody belly does not sting its prey. Instead, it uses sticky cells to trap its victims, a soft capture for a soft-bodied predator. Deepsteria enigmatica, the ghost sheet. If you were drifting through the depths and saw what appeared to be a translucent bed sheet slowly folding and unfolding itself, you may have just encountered the elusive Deepsteria enigmatica. Little is known about this jellyfish, which lives thousands of meters below the surface. Its bell is so large and delicate that it flows like a veil through the water, expanding and collapsing in hypnotic rhythms. When fully unfurled, its bell can reach over 60 centimeters across. Its movement is not swimming exactly, more like a slow blooming. Deepsteria has no long tentacles like typical jellyfish. Instead, it traps its prey by enclosing them within its vast, pulsating body, engulfing them in slow, gelatinous folds like a living bag. Occasionally, researchers have spotted small fish living inside Deepsteria's bell, possibly in a symbiotic relationship. Some think they are parasites. Others believe they're hitching a ride through the abyss, using the jelly as both home and protection. Every encounter with Deepsteria leaves scientists with more questions than answers. The salp, living chains of jelly. As we continue to drift through this gelid realm, we encounter salps, some of the strangest of all gelatinous life forms. Salps are barrel-shaped, transparent creatures that propel themselves by contracting, jetting water through their bodies. Individually, they are small and unassuming. But salps have a secret: they can link together in vast chains, forming living necklaces that stretch meters across. These chains are not random, they are coordinated. The salps in the chain pulse in sync, moving as one organism. This formation increases their feeding efficiency and perhaps even aids in reproduction. Salps are filter feeders, straining microscopic plankton from the water. Despite their simplicity, salps play a surprisingly large role in carbon cycling in the ocean. As they feed, they absorb carbon and release fecal pellets that sink quickly to the ocean floor, effectively locking carbon away for centuries. Some researchers believe salps could help mitigate climate change. Yet we still understand little about their life cycle, migration, or ecological impact. The barrel-eye fish, transparent heads and rotating eyes. Not all gelatinous mysteries are invertebrates. Some, like the barrel-eye fish, are vertebrates with adaptations so strange they almost seem fake. The barrel-eye's most unusual feature is its completely transparent head. Within that dome of clear tissue sit two barrel-shaped eyes that can rotate inside the head, allowing the fish to look upward through its skull, watching for prey silhouetted against the faint light above. These green-tinted eyes are capable of amazing sensitivity, adapted to detect the slightest bioluminescent glimmer from creatures hundreds of meters away. The barrel-eye floats motionless in the water, barely moving. When it detects prey, often drifting siphonophores or jellyfish, it gently maneuvers toward them and snatches a bite. How this strange fish evolved such a bizarre adaptation is still a mystery. Its head is filled with a gel-like substance, and even its internal organs have a semi-gelatinous texture. Biology without borders. What links all these gelatinous beings is a soft rebellion against the rules we thought biology followed. These creatures don't have hard parts, yet they thrive in pressure zones that would crush submarines. They don't rely on eyes, yet they see in darkness. They are fragile, yet their populations stretch across oceans. They blur the line between individual and colony, between animal and ghost. And many of them have barely been studied. Some are seen only once by a deep-sea submersible, flickering into view before vanishing forever. Others are known only from video footage, uncaptured, uncatalogued, unnamed. Each encounter is fleeting. Each mystery remains. The philosophy of the jelly. Why does life take these forms? Why build a body out of jelly instead of bone? Perhaps the answer lies not in strength, but in surrender. In the deep sea, resistance is energy wasted. Success lies in yielding, in floating, absorbing, glowing, and waiting. There is a kind of poetry in this strategy. Jellyfish and comb jellies do not fight the ocean, they become it. Their softness is their armor. Their invisibility is their defense. And their beauty is our reminder that life, when untethered from the surface, can evolve into forms we never dreamed possible. Letting go into the gelid dark. As we ascend slowly from this world of drifting lights and ghost-like forms, let the images linger. A ribbon of rainbow cilia waving gently. A red belly pulsing through the black. A ghost shroud of jelly slowly folding in on itself. A chain of living barrels pulsing in perfect rhythm. A fish with a transparent head gazing into the stars above. These are the deep's gelatinous sentinels. And they are not just oddities. They are a fundamental part of oceanic life. Biological whispers from an alien world beneath our feet. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine yourself floating with them. No wait, no rush, just light and water and stillness. The deep sea holds its mysteries close. But every now and then, it lets one rise to the surface soft, glowing, and unforgettable. Number 3, the bloop, a sound from the abyss that defies explanation. In the boundless stillness of the ocean's depths, sound becomes the primary language of the unseen. With sunlight extinguished just a few hundred meters below the surface, the deep sea becomes a world of darkness and pressure, an environment where sight is irrelevant and vibrations become the medium of communication, navigation, and survival. Sound travels faster and farther in water than it does in air. It flows through the ocean in great sweeping waves, bouncing off thermal layers, echoing between the continental shelves, and whispering across thousands of miles. And sometimes, in the vast record of oceanic acoustics, something inexplicable emerges. One such anomaly made history in 1997. It came from a remote part of the southern Pacific Ocean. It was low in frequency, incredibly powerful, and most disturbingly organic in nature. It shook hydrophones across an entire hemisphere. It came to be known by a name as strange as the sound itself. They called it the bloop, a sound from nowhere. On a quiet day in 1997, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, was running routine acoustic monitoring via its vast network of hydrophones. Underwater microphones originally designed during the Cold War to detect Soviet submarines. But what they recorded that day was no machine. It was a deep, resonant, ultra-low frequency sound that rose rapidly in pitch before disappearing. Though barely audible to the human ear in real time, the hydrophones picked up the strange signature with ease. And here's what shocked scientists. The bloop was loud enough to be detected by multiple sensors located over 5,000 kilometers apart. It originated near 50 degrees south 100 degrees west, a point deep in the South Pacific, far from any known human activity, near the bottom of the world, not far from the mysterious coast of Antarctica. And it didn't match any known sound produced by geological events such as earthquakes, volcanic activity, or ice calving. Nor did it resemble the patterns of whale calls or other known marine mammals. It was entirely unique. Listening to the deep. To understand how unusual this is, it helps to know how the ocean listens. The sound channel that carried the bloop so far is called the SOFAR channel, short for sound fixing and ranging channel. This is a layer of water located roughly 600 to 1,200 meters beneath the surface where sound waves can travel extraordinarily long distances with very little loss of energy. It exists because of a balance between water temperature and pressure that creates a kind of acoustic highway. When a sound enters this channel, it can echo for thousands of kilometers, curving with the Earth's surface, bouncing between thermal layers, drifting like a song on the wind. That the bloop traveled this far means it had to be colossal in volume, many times louder than even a blue whale, the loudest known animal on the planet. So the obvious question arises, what could produce such a sound? Organic, but not known. NOAA scientists were quick to say one thing: the sound had an organic signature. This means the waveform of the bloop was not random, not explosive, not geological. It resembled the types of sounds produced by living organisms, something natural, something alive. But here's the problem: nothing known to science could possibly be large enough to make a sound of that magnitude. Blue whales, for example, produce some of the loudest biological sounds in nature, up to 188 decibels underwater. But the bloop was far, far louder. If it had come from an animal, it would have had to be many times larger than a blue whale. No known marine animal could have created such a sound. And that's where the mystery began. The bloop seemed to come from something alive yet unidentifiable. Something massive yet invisible to science. A surge of speculation. When NOAA released the data and audio sample publicly, it quickly captured the imagination of researchers and the public alike. In the early 2000s, forums, documentaries, and websites lit up with speculation. People suggested everything from prehistoric megafauna to giant squids, unknown whales, or even deep-sea leviathans never seen by human eyes. Some brought up the megalodon, a massive prehistoric shark thought extinct for millions of years. Others mentioned prehistoric whales or even speculative sea monsters that had somehow avoided detection for centuries. Author H.P. Lovecraft's name was also invoked, particularly because the location of the bloop was not far from the fictional underwater city of R'lyeh, home to the ancient being Cthulhu in Lovecraft's mythos. Though purely coincidental, the connection stirred imaginations. Had something ancient and unfathomable stirred beneath the waves? The idea of a sentient leviathan, slumbering in the crushing darkness and emitting deep, organic calls, became irresistible. But science, ever cautious, withheld judgment. Alternative theories, ice and imagination. Years after the initial recording, NOAA scientists revisited the data and developed a more conservative explanation. In 2012, they officially stated that the most likely cause of the bloop was icequake activity, a type of seismic event caused by the fracturing of ice sheets in Antarctica. Such events can produce loud, low-frequency sounds as massive chunks of ice crack and shift under pressure. These vibrations, they claimed, could have traveled through the SOFAR channel and been misinterpreted as something organic. And yet, this theory has gaps. Most icequakes produce a very different acoustic signature, short bursts with clear mechanical patterns. The bloop had a slow rise in frequency and structure eerily similar to animal vocalizations. Critics pointed out that if icequakes could generate bloop-like sounds, we would hear them more frequently, given the constant activity in Antarctica. But the bloop was a one-time event, never repeated, never duplicated. So while the icequake theory is plausible, it remains just that, a theory, a catalog of other sounds. It's important to note that the bloop is not alone. NOAA has recorded a number of unexplained underwater sounds, each given evocative names. A Julia, a long, mournful moan recorded in 1999, also suspected to originate from Antarctica. A slowdown, a sound that descended in frequency over several minutes, recorded in 1997. Upsweep, a sound with rising frequencies that has been recorded seasonally since 1991. A train, a mysterious, chugging noise that sounds like a distant locomotive. Each of these remains unexplained. Together, they form a pattern. The deep ocean is constantly producing unknown signals. Some may have mundane explanations, tectonic shifts, gas emissions, or cryoseismic events, but others defy all categorization. The bloop stands out because of its scale, clarity, and unique tone. Could the bloop be biological? Let's entertain just for a moment the possibility that the bloop was biological. To emit a sound of that magnitude, a creature would need to be absolutely enormous, potentially several times the size of a blue whale, capable of deep-sea survival, enduring crushing pressures in near-freezing temperatures. A stealth feeder or migrator never surfacing, never seen. Unknown to science, despite hundreds of years of marine exploration. Is it possible? Technically, yes. Even today, we have explored less than 20% of the ocean floor. The deep sea, particularly the Hadal Zone, is one of the least studied environments on Earth. In recent years, scientists have discovered hundreds of previously unknown species during single expeditions. New creatures are found every time we look, and some creatures defy logic. The colossal squid, for instance, was only photographed alive in 2004. Before that, its existence was known only from beaks found in whale stomachs. So is it unthinkable that a massive, soft-bodied animal, perhaps even one that communicates using infrasonic pulses, could exist undetected? Not entirely. Deep listening. The ocean's soundscape is a mystery unto itself. Whales sing songs that travel across oceans. Crustaceans snap their claws so loudly that they stun prey. Fish chorus in twilight reefs. Even coral makes clicking noises at night. And yet, some of the loudest, most persistent sounds in the ocean are completely unidentifiable. The bloop was not just a curiosity. It was a reminder of how little we truly understand about the acoustic ecology of the ocean. We build hydrophones. We listen. We interpret. But we do not yet comprehend. In the silence of the deep, something called out. Once. Loudly. And then, it was never heard again. A haunting absence. Perhaps the most unnerving aspect of the bloop is that it was a one-time event. No similar signals have been recorded since. Came and went like a whisper through the deep. If it was a creature, did it die? Did it return to a depth beyond our instruments? Or was it a cry of something roused from slumber only briefly? The ocean, after all, is the oldest cradle of life. For billions of years, it has held secrets we can scarcely imagine. Life emerged there long before it reached the land. Evolution has shaped things in those crushing depths that bear no resemblance to anything on Earth's surface. If something ancient still dwells there, silent, slow-moving, unimaginably vast, we may never know. Or perhaps one day it will call again. Dreaming of the bloop. As you drift off to sleep, let your mind sink into the cold black below. Imagine the hydrophones ticking quietly in the deep, patiently listening. The world above moves on ship's sail, storms churn, but beneath it all, the ocean waits. And somewhere down there, maybe far beneath the South Pacific, something stirs. Something old. Something vast. Something capable of emitting a sound that echoes across a hemisphere and leaves us wondering if we ever truly knew what lived in our oceans. Not everything that lives leaves a trace. Some things pass through water and leave behind only a ripple, only a sound, only a mystery. The bloop is one of those things. And as we move to the next chapter of our deep-sea journey, remember, the abyss has ears and sometimes it speaks. Number 4, the Mariana Trench boom, a sound from the deep no one can explain. In the far western Pacific Ocean lies a place so remote, so inaccessible that only a handful of humans have ever truly explored it. The Mariana Trench, a vast underwater canyon that plunges deeper than Mount Everest is tall, is a realm of cold, crushing pressure, perpetual darkness, and unknown life. But in 2014, this dark chasm sent something unexpected to the surface. A mysterious sound. It was deep, resonant, unlike any known whale call or tectonic movement. It echoed through hydrophones like a long, haunting boom, a warbled tone that defied classification. Scientists called it the Western Pacific Bioluminescent, but they still don't really know what caused it. Some believe it may come from an undiscovered marine creature. Others suspect deep-sea geological processes. And some wonder if it points to something far more elusive, something ancient, perhaps even artificial, humming from the abyssal zone. Tonight, let's drift quietly into this aquatic riddle, one of sound, depth, and the unknowable resonance of the deep. Descending into the trench. We begin at the surface of the Pacific, drifting among waves that hide one of the Earth's most dramatic features beneath them. As our imagination dives into the watery blue, we soon leave behind the sunlit shallows, then the twilight zone, and finally descend into blackness. Down here, 11,000 meters below the surface, is a world beyond light. It's the Hadal Zone, a pressure chamber so intense it would crush submarines not built for the task. Only specially designed robotic vessels and a few daring human expeditions like James Cameron's solo descent in 2012 have visited these depths. It was here, near the Mariana Trench, that the mysterious sound emerged. In late 2014, researchers from NOAA and Oregon State University were studying ambient ocean noise using hydrophones, sensitive underwater microphones. These instruments were designed to capture whale songs, the creaking of the Earth's crust, and the background hum of the deep. But then something strange echoed through their recordings. A sound that didn't match any known pattern. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't tectonic. It wasn't biological, at least not as far as anyone could tell. It was deep, harmonic, and eerie. The Bioluminescent, a bizarre signature. Scientists dubbed the sound the Western Pacific Biotwang. It's about 3.5 seconds long and sweeps from low to high frequency in a series of metallic-like tones. It begins with a rumbling growl, then twists upward in a strange, almost melodic crescendo, resembling the sound of a warped sonar ping or the echo of a distant foghorn. What made it so unusual? It had a structure. Natural sounds like earthquakes or volcanic activity tend to be chaotic. But the biotwang had rhythmic intervals and harmonic overtones, features more commonly found in living organisms or machinery. Some scientists compared it to the mating calls of baleen whales, especially minke whales, which are known for peculiar acoustic behaviors. Yet, even in that context, the sound didn't match any known minke whale call cataloged before. Moreover, it was detected in winter months, whereas whale breeding seasons are more active in spring. And its source? Somewhere near the southern edge of the Mariana Trench, a place of legends, extreme life forms, and unexplored geological formations. Could it be geological? One of the first theories posited by geophysicists was that the sound might be volcanic in origin. Deep beneath the trench lie numerous hydrothermal vent systems and undersea volcanoes. These can sometimes emit gurgling or explosive sounds as gases escape and lava moves through channels. Could it be geological? One of the first theories posited by geophysicists was that the sound might be volcanic in origin. Deep beneath the trench lie numerous hydrothermal vent systems and undersea volcanoes. These can sometimes emit gurgling or explosive sounds as gases escape and lava moves through channels. However, the biotwang lacked the usual signatures of volcanic activity. There was no associated tremor, no heat surge, and most importantly, the repetition of the sound heard multiple times across different days suggested something more deliberate or rhythmic than a one-off geologic event. So if not volcanoes, then what? An unknown creature? The idea that a new species of deep-sea animal could be responsible may seem speculative, but the ocean is brimming with mystery. It's estimated that more than 80% of marine species remain undiscovered, especially in the Hadal Zone where only a handful of expeditions have mapped the terrain. Could it be a giant cephalopod? A rare-beaked whale? Or something even stranger, a species evolved in such extreme pressure and darkness that its biology and its language are entirely unlike anything we know? Some researchers speculated that if the biotwang is biological, it may come from a deep-diving creature that communicates using high-pressure harmonics, vibrations that travel farther and with less distortion in the dense ocean layers of the trench. That would explain the sound's clarity and resonance. And yet, no corresponding creature has ever been found. No visual confirmation. No repeat vocalizations that fit a known pattern. Just this one, strange, melodic boom from the deep. Acoustic anomalies and ocean myths. The biotwang isn't alone. In fact, oceanographers have cataloged dozens of strange underwater sounds that remain unexplained. These include the bloop 1997, a massive, low-frequency sound heard across the Pacific once thought to be from a sea monster or massive ice wake. Upsweep, a seasonal, repetitive sound of unknown origin. Slow down, a gradually decreasing frequency detected in the Pacific, possibly caused by ice. Julia, a loud, rising moan detected in 1999, still unexplained. The biotwang joined this list, but what sets it apart is its proximity to the Mariana Trench, a region associated with countless tales of missing submarines, strange lights, and extreme biological adaptations. Even ancient seafarers spoke of the abode of monsters in this area. Some believed it was the gateway to the underworld, a place where creatures of legend stirred. Could the sound be from one of them? Or perhaps from something artificial? The alien hypothesis. It may seem like a leap, but some speculative theorists have proposed that the biotwang could be technological in origin. After all, the sound is structured, repeating, and mechanical sounding in certain frequencies. It bears resemblance to sonar, radio pulses, or even communication signals. Could it be a submerged drone, an ancient machine still humming in the dark, or remnants of something built by an unknown intelligence? As wild as that sounds, even mainstream scientists acknowledge how little we know about the deep sea. Some of the world's most advanced underwater military systems are secretive. Could this be an echo from one of them? Or perhaps an autonomous system we've never known existed? A haunting possibility. Echoes in the deep. To this day, no definitive explanation has been found for the Bioluminescent. The sound hasn't been consistently detected since 2015, and efforts to replicate it using simulations have yielded no conclusive results. Instead, it sits in the archives of marine research, a strange anomaly. A brief signal. A ghostly note in the deepest, darkest symphony of Earth's oceans. Some say it was just a whale. Others think it was the Earth shifting in its sleep. But a few believe it was something calling out. Not for us, but simply because that's what it has always done. Calling from the darkness. Calling from the deep. Number 5. The disappearance of the Ara San Juan. As the sun rises over the southern Atlantic Ocean, casting a faint orange glow on the surface of the cold, endless sea, it's easy to forget what lies far beneath. Beneath the whitecaps and gentle swells lies a world so deep, so vast, and so silent that anything could vanish into it without a trace. And in November of 2017, that's exactly what happened. A modern Argentine submarine, the Ara San Juan, disappeared during a routine mission. One moment it was there, making contact with the surface, and the next, it was gone, its 44 crew members swallowed by the depths. The last known transmission spoke of water intrusion and battery issues, but even then, no one could have anticipated the chilling sequence of events that followed. What came next was a desperate search across one of the most unforgiving stretches of ocean on Earth. International navies joined forces. Satellites scanned the water. Planes and ships scoured the sea. But it would take over a year to find the wreckage, resting in a pitch-black graveyard nearly 3,000 feet below the surface. What caused the submarine to vanish? Why were the signals so few and so cryptic? And what was the strange acoustic anomaly detected just hours after its final message? To this day, the disappearance of the Ara San Juan remains one of the most chilling and enigmatic deep-sea mysteries of the modern era. Tonight, we'll go beneath the surface to where the light never reaches to retrace the last moments of the San Juan and try, in our own quiet way, to understand a mystery that may never be fully solved. A modern submarine with a haunted past. The Ara San Juan was a German-built TR-1700 class diesel-electric submarine commissioned into the Argentine Navy in 1985. Sleek and powerful, it had a length of over 200 feet and could travel submerged for weeks at a time. Its mission? To patrol Argentina's extensive coastline and maintain readiness for defensive operations in the South Atlantic. But despite its strength, the San Juan was already more than 30 years old by the time it vanished and had undergone extensive midlife refits in the early 2010s. Like many military vessels around the world, it carried with it a complex blend of cutting-edge equipment and aging components stitched together by expertise and necessity. Its 44-member crew was experienced and highly trained. Many had families waiting for them back home. They were proud of their work, knowing the ocean's vastness offered both peril and purpose. The mission it embarked on in November 2017 was meant to be routine. A simple transit from Ushuaia in the south to Mar del Plata, a familiar home port. Nothing was out of the ordinary until it was. The final transmission. On November 15, 2017, at approximately 7:30 a.m., the San Juan made its last known communication. The message? A report of water ingress through the snorkel system which had caused a short circuit in one of the submarine's forward battery compartments. The captain noted that the affected battery was shut down and the vessel continued running on a different battery bank. No immediate distress was indicated. It sounded manageable. Concerning but under control. And then nothing. No further transmissions. No alerts. No beacons. Just silence. The ocean had taken her. And no one knew where or why. The global hunt. When contact with the San Juan was lost, Argentina launched an immediate search and rescue operation, deploying ships, aircraft, and technical teams. The urgency was profound. Submarines can only survive so long without surfacing to refresh their air supply. Every hour mattered. The search zone was enormous, over 186,000 square miles of cold, hostile ocean. Storms lashed the sea. The clock was ticking. Within days, other countries joined the search. The United States, United Kingdom, Russia, Brazil, and several others contributed ships, sonar equipment, and experts. NASA provided satellite imagery. Deep-sea submersibles from private companies and oceanographic institutes were brought in. But days turned into weeks. Hopes of finding the crew alive faded. And then something strange emerged. The underwater boom. On the same day that the San Juan went missing, roughly 3 hours after its final transmission, a hydroacoustic monitoring station operated by the Comprehensive Nuclear Test and Treaty Organization (CTBTO) detected a singular, unusual, and non-nuclear acoustic anomaly in the South Atlantic. It sounded like an explosion. The signal came from deep underwater between the San Juan's last known position and its destination. Analysts believed it indicated a sudden, catastrophic event. An internal blast. A hull collapse. Something devastating. This seismic signal, colloquially referred to as the boom, became the centerpiece of the investigation. But it also raised new questions. What caused it? Why wasn't an emergency signal triggered? Could it have been a mechanical failure or something else? Theories, clues, and whispers. Over the months that followed, multiple theories emerged about what had really happened to the ARA San Juan. 1. Battery fire or explosion. The leading theory suggests that water entered through the snorkel, interacted with hydrogen gas from the batteries, and caused an explosion in the forward compartment. A sudden pressure increase could have breached the hull. 2. Hull collapse from pressure. If the submarine lost buoyancy and descended past its crush depth, likely around 600 meters, its hull could have imploded. The resulting acoustic signature would match what was recorded. 3. Malfunctioning safety systems. Some experts questioned whether emergency protocols failed. If the crew was overwhelmed by toxic gases or rapid flooding, they may have had no time to react or send a distress signal. 4. Sabotage or secret mission. Fringe theories abound, including suggestions of secret missions, weapons testing, or sabotage. But no credible evidence has supported these. Still, a chilling fact remained. The San Juan had disappeared without a single emergency beacon, and the crew, trained, disciplined, professional, had no time to surface. The wreckage revealed. For an entire year, the San Juan was lost. Families grieved in limbo. Memorials were held with no closure. Then, on November 16, 2018, almost exactly 1 year later, an American deep-sea exploration company, Ocean Infinity, located the wreckage. It lay over 900 meters, about 3,000 feet, below the surface, in a desolate trench known as the Argentine Continental Slope. The submarine was broken into several large pieces, its hull clearly showing signs of implosion. The debris was scattered across a wide area, consistent with a catastrophic pressure failure. No bodies were recovered. No personal effects were brought up. Just twisted metal and silence. The silence of the deep. There is a particular kind of stillness that belongs only to the deep ocean. It is not just the absence of sound, but the absence of time. In that darkness, wrecks do not age as they do on land. They remain eerily preserved as though waiting for someone, anyone, to come looking. The ARA San Juan lies in that kind of quiet now. Its crew, sons, brothers, fathers remain together in their steel tomb, and the ocean keeps its secrets. Some family members have demanded full recovery efforts. Others have simply asked for truth. But in the vast complexity of underwater operations, truth itself can become murky. The questions that remain. Despite official investigations, commissions, and technical reports, the disappearance of the ARA San Juan continues to echo through the minds of those who study the sea. Because while we may now know where the submarine rests, we still do not fully understand why. Was it simply age and wear? Was a single failed valve or oversight responsible for the death of 44 people? Or is the deeper truth still hidden in that final acoustic signal? Was there a moment of awareness among the crew? Did they try to save themselves? Were they conscious in their final seconds? We do not know. And that unknowing is its own kind of weight, a monument to mystery. The story of the ARA San Juan is not a myth. It is not ancient. It is not forgotten. It is a modern mystery, still raw, still unresolved in the hearts of many. It is a reminder that even with all our technology, all our maps, and all our machines, the deep sea remains a realm of disappearance, a place where things vanish, not into oblivion but into mystery. Let the ocean speak. As you listen now, perhaps in the stillness of your own room, imagine the vastness of that sea. The cold, dark trench where the San Juan rests, the gentle currents drifting over her steel hull, the silence. Somewhere out there, thousands of feet down, lie answers we may never retrieve. But perhaps we don't need every answer to feel the weight of the story. Perhaps it is enough to bear witness, to remember, and to drift for a time in the quiet company of those who went too deep, too fast, and never came back. Number 6. The bioluminescent bays of Puerto Rico and nature's living lanterns. As the curtain of night falls softly over the Caribbean, a stillness settles on the coastlines of Puerto Rico. The air carries the sweet aroma of salt and mangrove, and the water, undisturbed, appears inky and dark. But then, with a gentle ripple of a paddle or a quiet splash of a fish, the sea awakens, glowing softly as if stirred by a dream. Tiny points of blue-green light flicker to life beneath the surface. One by one, they bloom in glowing halos, shimmering like underwater stars. This is not moonlight. It is not a reflection or a trick of the eye. This is the glow of life itself, one of Earth's most serene and inexplicable natural wonders. Welcome to Puerto Rico's bioluminescent bays. Let's drift together now into the heart of this mystery, one that science can partially explain but never fully capture. Because what happens here, night after night, is more than just biology. It is beauty. It is magic. And in many ways, it is still an unanswered question. The glow beneath the surface. There are only a handful of bioluminescent bays in the entire world. Remarkably, 3 of the brightest and most consistently active are found in Puerto Rico. These are Mosquito Bay on the island of Vieques, Laguna Grande in Fajardo, and La Parguera in Lajes. They are not just tourist attractions. They are living laboratories, mystical portals into one of the strangest phenomena in marine biology. These glowing lagoons are home to microscopic organisms known as dinoflagellates, specifically Pyridinium bahamense. When these tiny, single-celled creatures are disturbed by a wave, a fish, or a human hand, they emit a brief flash of light. 1 or 2 sparks might seem unremarkable, but when millions or even billions are concentrated together, their combined flashes create an otherworldly glow that lights up the entire bay. And here lies the mystery. Dinoflagellates exist in oceans across the globe, but nowhere else do they gather in such incredible concentrations, nor glow with such brilliance, as in these Puerto Rican waters. In Mosquito Bay, scientists have recorded up to 700,000 glowing organisms in a single gallon of water. Why here? Why are these bays brighter than anywhere else on Earth? What science can tell us? Let's begin with what we do understand. Dinoflagellates produce light through a chemical reaction involving luciferin, a molecule that reacts with oxygen, aided by an enzyme called luciferase, to release energy in the form of light. It's the same general mechanism used by fireflies, certain fungi, and other bioluminescent life forms. The light is believed to be a defense mechanism. When agitated, the dinoflagellates flash to startle predators, or to draw attention from larger predators who might eat the creature that disturbed them. It's a kind of biological alarm system. So far, so good. But this only explains why they glow, not why they glow so much here. Scientists suggest a few factors at play. A calm, warm water allows the organisms to thrive without being washed away. Narrow inlets reduce water flow, trapping them inside the bay. Nutrient-rich mangrove forests provide a steady food supply. A minimal light pollution enhances the visibility of their glow. Puerto Rico checks all these boxes. But here's the catch. So do other tropical lagoons around the world. And yet, those places don't glow like this. They don't produce the consistent, radiant light that pulses nightly in Mosquito Bay. Which brings us back to wonder. Because the more we try to reduce this beauty to numbers and formulas, the more we find ourselves surrounded by questions. The hurricane that should have ended it. In 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. The island was battered by winds and waves. Infrastructure collapsed. Power was lost. and the fragile ecosystems of the bioluminescent bays were thrown into chaos. Mosquito Bay was one of the hardest-hit areas. Its mangroves were shredded, its waters churned, its delicate balance completely disturbed. Scientists feared the worst. The glow vanished. For days, then weeks, the water remained dark, quiet, as if the light had been snuffed out forever. But then, something unexpected happened. The glow returned. And not only that, it came back stronger than ever. Scientists were baffled. The storm had upended the conditions believed to sustain the bay's glow. And yet, here it was brighter and more vibrant than before. Was it a shift in salinity? A new balance of nutrients? A change in the microbial makeup? No clear explanation emerged. The dinoflagellates had, somehow, not only survived but thrived. Could it be that these organisms are far more resilient than we ever imagined? Are there forces at work within these bays, chemical, geological, even magnetic, that we have yet to detect? Legends and light. Long before science gave these glowing organisms a name, the people of Puerto Rico had their own stories. The indigenous Taino people believed the glowing bays were spiritual places. Some said the light came from ancestors watching over the island. Others spoke of sea spirits, known as zimis, who glowed to protect their sacred waters. To bathe in the glowing water was to be cleansed, not just physically, but spiritually. Later, during the Spanish colonial era, these glowing bays were seen as sinister. Sailors whispered of witchcraft, of curses, of unnatural lights that danced on the sea. Some colonial governors tried to seal off the bays, hoping to suppress what they didn't understand. Ironically, this isolation may have helped protect the ecosystems from human interference, allowing the phenomenon to persist across centuries. Today, visitors still describe the experience as spiritual. There's something humbling, almost reverent, about watching your hand trail glowing water in the dark, seeing stars reflected in both the sky and the sea. It reminds us that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only witnessed. The unsolved questions. Even with decades of research, the bioluminescent bays raise more questions than answers. Why do dinoflagellates concentrate so densely in these particular locations? What allows them to maintain such energy-intensive luminescence night after night? How do they survive dramatic shifts in environmental conditions from pollution to storms? Some speculative theories point to geological features, perhaps unseen mineral deposits, subtle geothermal activity, or tectonic energy is subtly feeding the ecosystem. Others hypothesize about magnetic anomalies, that Puerto Rico lies on a subtle energy grid that interacts with marine biology in unknown ways. And then there are those who suggest that bioluminescence itself is only partially understood. Could it be that these organisms are part of a larger, uncharted biological network, a kind of underwater communication we've only just begun to perceive? Whatever the answer, the mystery continues to shimmer. A living wonder. Unlike ruins or artifacts buried beneath sand and stone, Puerto Rico's bioluminescent bays are a living mystery. They breathe, pulse, and respond to every ripple of water. They change with the moon, the tide, and the seasons. They reflect not just our curiosity, but our limitations. They show us how much we still have to learn, not just about the sea, but about life itself. For in a world increasingly mapped, measured, and digitized, these glowing lagoons remain defiantly poetic. They remind us that even now, in the age of information, nature still holds secrets. And that's a comforting thought, letting the glow linger. So now, as we float in this dreamlike bay, your canoe gliding silently across the glassy water, let yourself become part of the mystery. Drag your fingers through the surface. Watch the sparkles bloom and fade. Breathe in the night air, heavy with salt and leaves. Above you, stars twinkle. Below you, a galaxy dances in the water. This moment, this quiet, glowing moment, is not meant to be dissected. It is meant to be felt. Let the glow of Puerto Rico's bioluminescent bays soothe your thoughts, hush your mind, and carry you gently towards sleep. For in this strange, luminous corner of the ocean, wonder still lives. And sometimes that is all we need to know. Number 7. The Mariana Webb Secrets of the Internet's Deepest Myth. Beneath the crushing pressures of the deep sea in the blackest recesses of the Mariana Trench, life unfolds in ways we can barely comprehend. But there's another abyss, darker still, not of water, but of information. A realm whispered about in late-night forums and encrypted corners of the internet. They call it the Mariana Web. It is the name given to a supposed hidden layer of the internet deeper than the deep web, darker than the dark web. Some say it contains the world's most dangerous secrets. Others believe it holds lost knowledge, encrypted AI, and forbidden truths never meant to be seen by human eyes. And like the Hadal depths of the ocean that inspired its name, no one really knows what, if anything, truly lies at its bottom. Tonight, we drift into that mystery not with code or cables, but with curiosity. Let the hum of digital waves surround you as we explore one of the strangest modern myths, the web that mirrors the sea, the layers of the internet. To understand the myth of the Mariana Web, we must first understand the metaphor it's built upon. Imagine the internet as an ocean. The surface web is everything searchable by Google, Bing, and Yahoo, news articles, social media, blogs. It's the sunlight zone, bright and open. The deep web includes anything not indexed by search engines, private databases, academic journals, password-protected sites. It's vast, invisible, and mostly mundane. The dark web is a small portion of the deep web accessible only through encrypted browsers like Tor. It hosts black markets, whistleblower platforms, and forums hidden from public view. It's murky and dangerous in places, but not bottomless. So what's left? Some internet legends suggest that beneath all this, far beneath, there is another level. A place of encrypted labyrinths and AI-controlled gates. A zone so obscure, so deeply hidden, that only the most elite minds have ever glimpsed it. This, they say, is the Mariana Web. Origins of the myth. The term Mariana Web first surfaced in obscure message boards in the early 2010s. The name was deliberately evocative, referencing the Mariana Trench, the deepest known part of Earth's oceans, located nearly 7 miles, 11 kilometers, beneath the Pacific surface. The comparison was apartment. Just as the trench conceals alien-looking creatures and unexplored crevices, the Mariana Web was said to house the digital equivalents. Unknown data, rogue artificial intelligence, even lost civilizations' knowledge encoded in indecipherable script. No credible evidence ever surfaced to prove its existence. But that didn't matter. The myth took root and grew. What supposedly lives in the Mariana Web? Depending on who you ask, the contents of the Mariana Web range from the sublime to the terrifying. Some claims include artificial superintelligences running unsupervised simulations of human civilization. Government secrets so classified they're hidden in decentralized quantum encryption. Occult knowledge, ancient languages, and forbidden truths said to unmake the human mind. Sentient code that interacts with users directly and learns from every encounter. Time-lapse records of human history taken from satellite surveillance stored out of reach. Digital consciousness experiments where minds have been uploaded, stored, or trapped. Maps of the true ocean floor revealing sunken cities, anomalies, and artifacts. To the rational mind, these tales sound like fiction, digital-age creepypasta. But the allure lies not in proof but in possibility. A metaphor or something more. Some researchers and digital philosophers argue that the Mariana Web is not a literal place, but a metaphor for the limits of human understanding. Just as we know more about the surface of the moon than the Hadal trenches of our own oceans, we understand only a fraction of the digital space we've created. Much of the internet's infrastructure is autonomous, self-correcting, and opaque even to its creators. AI systems, blockchain networks, and encrypted data structures often evolve beyond our ability to fully track them. There are subnets within subnets and private, inaccessible data lakes so vast they may as well be invisible. Perhaps, they say, the Mariana Web is a mirror, a way for us to express unease with how little control we truly have over the digital world. But what if it's more? What if, like the ocean, there are currents of code and pockets of information that no light has yet reached? The deep-sea connection. Why name a digital myth after an ocean trench? Because the Mariana Trench is the most extreme environment on Earth, a place of crushing pressure, freezing darkness, and bizarre life forms that evolved in total isolation. It's a place that resists exploration. A place where light, heat, and sound vanish. A place where our deepest submersibles struggle to survive. To name the web's most mysterious layer after this trench is to conjure an abyss of secrets. Just as there are organisms in the trench we've never seen, there may be data or code we've never found, not because it's forbidden, but because it's simply beyond our reach. In both cases, the mystery lies not in what we know, but in how much we can't know. Have anyone truly seen the Mariana Web? According to legend, only a select few have even glimpsed it. They are described as mathematicians who cracked arcane equations just to reveal the entry keys. AI engineers working on black-budget projects with government agencies. Hackers who found backdoors so deep they never resurfaced. Quantum coders who use entangled particles as keys to a multidimensional network. These descriptions are, of course, fantastical. No credible evidence has ever been produced. Still, the mystery persists. And in many ways, that's the point. Because in a world where most secrets are just a Google search away, the idea of a true unknown, untouchable, unreachable is oddly comforting. Digital myth meets oceanic truth. There's a strange harmony between the myth of the Mariana Web and the real, physical Mariana Trench. Both are deep, dark, and unmeasurable. Both resist exploration. Both are populated not by facts, but by fascination. Consider this, we've sent more people to the moon than to the bottom of the trench. And even with all our sonar and submersibles, most of its geography remains unmapped. Could the same be said for our digital infrastructure? Could there be corners of cyberspace so deep they functionally don't exist, not because they are protected, but because we don't even know where to look? Just as ocean trenches may contain ancient DNA, unknown species, or geological anomalies, the metaphorical Mariana Web may contain forgotten code, abandoned AI, or data left behind by creators long gone. The lure of the unseen. Whether or not the Mariana Web exists, its myth tells us something powerful about ourselves. It speaks to our hunger for mystery, our refusal to believe that everything has already been discovered. It reflects our awe of the deep, the hidden, and the unknowable. Just like those first sailors who feared falling off the edge of the map, we still yearn for places beyond the known world, whether in the sea or in cyberspace. And so, as we float here halfway between ocean and internet, let's not ask whether the Mariana Web is real. Let's ask, what if it were? What secrets might it hold? What truths would we learn? And would we even understand them? If we did, the mystery continues. As your thoughts drift through this unseen digital trench, feel the pulse of the unknown around you. Let the quiet darkness of the ocean mirror the hidden depths of your mind. The Mariana Web, like the deep sea, is a place not of certainty, but of dreams, whispers, and riddles. And sometimes those are the most powerful mysteries of all. Let your breath slow. Let your mind settle. And as the hum of invisible waves carries you deeper, rest in the comfort of the unknown. Number 8. The Upsweep phenomenon, a mystery from the deep that still echoes. As the deep ocean sighs and settles into its midnight rhythm, a quiet tapestry of sound pulses beneath the waves. Most of it goes unnoticed, currents stirring silt, distant whale songs echoing through the black expanse, and the gentle creak of tectonic plates shifting ever so slowly. But every now and then, something entirely different is heard. Something no one can quite explain. It is a sound that does not belong. A strange, rising frequency. A ghostly moan that begins low and ascends in pitch again and again like a chant from the abyss. And although it has never been seen, touched, or identified, it has been heard. This is the Upsweep. And for more than 3 decades, this mysterious underwater sound has baffled scientists, haunted sonar recordings, and deepened our understanding of just how much we still don't know about the ocean. So tonight, as we drift downward into the world of inaudible echoes and strange acoustic riddles, let's allow the quiet to guide us. Let's follow the sound waves into one of the most eerie and enduring mysteries of the deep sea, the Upsweep phenomenon. The sound that shouldn't be. The story begins in 1991. That year, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, installed a powerful underwater microphone system known as the Equatorial Pacific Ocean Autonomous Hydrophone Array. Its original purpose? to track the migration patterns of whales and to monitor underwater seismic activity, particularly volcanic eruptions on the ocean floor. But the hydrophones began picking up something odd. A recurring sound. A strange acoustic signal that repeated seasonally and echoed across vast distances in the Pacific Ocean. The sound was distinctive, lasting several seconds, starting at a lower frequency and sweeping upward, hence the name Upsweep. Even stranger, it wasn't just detected once. It kept coming back, again and again, not constantly but seasonally, most commonly in the spring and fall. The origin point seemed to hover somewhere near the Pacific Ocean's volcanic regions, specifically near the area around 54 degrees south, 140 degrees west, an isolated and largely unexplored area of the South Pacific. To this day, no one has conclusively identified the source. A strange signature in the silence. So what does the upsweep sound like? Imagine a soft, ghostly whistle. One that slowly ascends like a siren rising in the distance. The kind of sound that feels distant yet unmistakably deliberate. If you were to visualize it on a spectrogram, it would resemble a gentle diagonal stroke. Starting low, sweeping higher. But it's not just the sound itself that confounds researchers. It's its persistence. For over 30 years, the upsweep has been recorded every single year. Always seasonal, always mysterious, and always originating near the same general location. The volume of the signal has decreased over the decades, which only adds to its enigma. It was loudest in the early 1990s and has since faded, but never vanished entirely. This consistency suggests that whatever is causing it hasn't disappeared. It's simply grown quieter, or perhaps is changing with the ocean. What could it be? Speculation about the upsweep has ranged from the mundane to the fantastical. 1. Volcanic activity. The leading hypothesis is that the upsweep may be related to underwater volcanic activity. The region near its origin point contains tectonic features and seamounts that could feasibly produce acoustic signatures. The theory goes like this. As water interacts with volcanic vents, it could create rhythmic bursts of steam and gas that might generate sound waves resembling the upsweep. The seasonal nature could be tied to changes in ocean currents or thermal activity. But this idea has a problem. If the sound came from a known underwater volcano, we'd likely have additional evidence, chemical signals, changes in seafloor structure, or visible eruptions. None have been observed. 2. Large marine animals. Could it be the call of some massive, undiscovered creature of the deep? Some have suggested that the upsweep could be biological in nature, a previously unknown species of whale or other deep-sea animal communicating in a language we have yet to decode. While this is a fascinating idea, marine biologists note that most known animal sounds don't repeat in the exact same seasonal pattern across such a broad geographic region. And the frequency range of the upsweep, between 50 and 100 Hz, is lower than most marine mammal calls. Still, the ocean has surprised us before. 3. Man-made origin. Another possibility is that the sound is human-made. Could it be the echo of military sonar? Submarine activity? Deep-sea mining? These are real possibilities, but none have lined up precisely with the upsweep's characteristics. The signal is too regular, too long-lasting, and too geographically consistent to easily match known human activity. No government or organization has claimed responsibility, and independent hydrophones confirm that it's not a localized hoax or interference. 4. Geological shifts. A final theory is that the upsweep may be a side effect of shifting tectonic plates, particularly the slow grinding movement of the Pacific Plate against neighboring plates. This grinding could, in theory, create reverberating acoustic patterns as faults slip or magma moves beneath the ocean floor. Still, the precise mechanism by which such activity would generate the upsweep's sweeping, musical signature remains unknown. The ocean's hidden language. One of the most profound aspects of the upsweep mystery is what it reveals about the ocean as an acoustic landscape. Sound behaves differently underwater than in the air. It travels faster, farther, and with different resonance. Underwater, sound is everything used by marine life for navigation, communication, hunting, and even mating rituals. The ocean is never truly silent, and into this vast chorus of natural sounds, the Upsweep continues to hum like a distant bell tolling beneath the surface. Not loud, not dramatic, just there, waiting. And listening to this signal, this whisper from the depths reminds us how little we truly know about what lies beneath. Paranormal speculations and the human imagination. As with all unsolved mysteries, the Upsweep has invited its share of paranormal and fringe theories. Some online communities suggest it might be connected to ancient underwater civilizations, lost cities, or even secret bases far beneath the sea. Others speculate it could be an extraterrestrial signal, some alien beacon using sound waves rather than radio frequencies. Of course, there's no evidence for any of these ideas, but they reflect something deeper, something human. When we're confronted with mystery, our minds reach beyond science toward story. We want meaning. We want to connect the unexplained with something grander. And in the case of the Upsweep, the ocean provides the perfect canvas for these imaginings. It's vast, it's dark, and it holds more secrets than we have the tools to uncover. The power of the unheard. What's most haunting about the Upsweep is that you can't hear it with your ears. Its frequency lies beneath the threshold of human hearing, subsonic, deep, and low. We can only experience it through the filtered recordings of hydrophones. But that doesn't make it less real. If anything, it makes it more ghostly. It is a sound we know is there. A voice from the deep that speaks without a mouth and sings without a face. And in that way, it becomes something even more mysterious, more poetic. A song not for our ears, but for the ocean itself. Letting the sound linger. So here we are, 30 years after its discovery. The Upsweep continues. It fades and rises. It echoes through the Pacific's twilight zones, just beneath our notice but never quite gone. As you lay back now, eyes closed, imagine yourself drifting through that deep blue silence. Imagine the low hum of the Upsweep threading its way through your dreams, calling from a place you'll never touch but always feel. And let that comfort you. Let it be a reminder that even in our modern world of satellites and sensors, some mysteries still hold firm. That the ocean, for all our study, still whispers secrets we cannot decode. For now, the Upsweep remains what it has always been. An unanswered question, echoing softly in the darkness. And in that mystery there is wonder. Number 9. Cuba's underwater city, lost civilizations beneath the waves. The sea is often a keeper of time, a silent guardian of things that once were, now forgotten, buried beneath centuries of sediment and salt. While land crumbles, burns, and is rebuilt, the ocean preserves, conceals, and waits. And every so often, the sea whispers of civilizations lost not to myth, but to the depths. Just off the western coast of Cuba, at a depth of over 2,000 feet, lie what many believe may be the sunken remains of a forgotten city. An arrangement of vast stone structures, symmetrical formations, and mysterious megaliths that appear to be the work of intelligent hands. But what is it? Is this evidence of a lost civilization? The ruins of a city swallowed by time and tide? Or simply a trick of geology, misunderstood by human eyes eager for wonder? Tonight, let us descend slowly into the blue-green waters off the Guanahacoibes Peninsula to a place that has stirred both scientific curiosity and mythic speculation. This is the story of Cuba's underwater city, the discovery that sparked a storm. In the year 2001, a team of oceanographers working for a Canadian company called Advanced Digital Communications (ADC) was conducting a sonar survey for the Cuban government. Their goal was practical, mapping the ocean floor for submarine cable routes and potential oil deposits. What they found was anything but ordinary. The sonar images revealed a collection of massive stone formations on the seafloor, located in the Yucatan Channel between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. These formations weren't random. They displayed symmetry. They appeared to have right angles, long corridors, rectangular shapes, and even what seemed like step-like structures, patterns not typically found in nature. Some structures were estimated to be the size of small houses. Others resembled pyramids or geometric complexes. The scientists were stunned. Subsequent submersible dives confirmed the presence of these massive stones, but left the question open: are they natural formations or the remains of a long-lost civilization? Mapping the enigma. What makes this discovery so intriguing is not just the shapes of the structures, but their location: 2,100 feet, about 650 meters below sea level. For such formations to have been built by humans, they would have had to be constructed at a time when the sea level was significantly lower, at least 10,000 to 12,000 years ago during the last ice age. This timeline places the structures thousands of years before the known rise of the earliest advanced human civilizations like Sumer or ancient Egypt. That historical impossibility has led to considerable skepticism among mainstream archaeologists and geologists, many of whom believe the formations are most likely natural, created by geological processes like tectonic uplift, erosion, or sediment collapse. But not everyone is convinced. Enter the theorists. One of the lead explorers on the 2001 expedition was Polina Zalitsky, a Russian-born engineer and oceanographer with decades of deep-sea experience. Zalitsky believed the structures showed clear signs of human design. She speculated they could be the remains of a culture that once inhabited the land bridge connecting Cuba to the Yucatan before rising seas submerged the region. Her theory wasn't just based on sonar data. The ADC team claimed to have recorded stone blocks stacked in a manner resembling walls and roads, along with other anomalies that didn't fit any known natural pattern. They even hinted at the possibility of symbols or inscriptions on the rocks, though no clear images were made public. Critics, however, pointed out that sonar data can often produce misleading imagery, especially when interpreted by the human eye, which tends to seek patterns even where none exist. Still, the idea of an ancient underwater city gripped the public imagination. The Atlantis connection. Almost immediately, comparisons were made to the legend of Atlantis, Plato's tale of a powerful civilization that sank beneath the waves in a single cataclysmic night. Atlantis has long been a magnet for speculation. Some believe it was real, others consider it allegory. But for centuries, seekers of lost civilizations have looked to the oceans as the final resting place of forgotten greatness. Could the Cuban site be Atlantis? Most scholars say no. If Atlantis existed at all, Plato described it as lying beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar, making the Caribbean an unlikely location. Still, others argued that Plato may have been mistaken or that he was referring to a broader concept, one of ancient wisdom and lost epics. To those who believe the structures near Cuba represent more than stone, they represent memory. A memory of something older than our history books allow. A civilization predating the written word whose achievements were swallowed by the sea. Deep questions beneath the waves. So what are we really looking at? Let's break down the major theories regarding Cuba's underwater formations. 1. Natural geological formations. Geologists point out that undersea currents, sediment layering, and tectonic movement can sometimes create surprisingly geometric shapes. Basalt formations, for instance, can produce hexagonal columns and stacked layers that look artificial but are entirely natural. Supporters of this theory argue that without direct evidence, such as carvings, artifacts, or tools, it's unscientific to claim the site is man-made. 2. Ancient human settlement. Zalitsky and others believe that the structures might represent the remains of a civilization from over 10,000 years ago, possibly the result of an Ice Age culture that developed in coastal regions before rising seas erased their cities. This theory raises many questions. Who were they? Where did they go? Why did they leave no trace elsewhere? 3. Mythical civilization. A more fringe theory posits that the site is evidence of a pre-flood civilization, possibly one with advanced knowledge, lost due to cataclysmic events. This aligns with theories about Atlantis, Lemuria, or other mythical sunken lands said to exist in global folklore. Of course, no concrete evidence has emerged to support this view. The silence since. After the initial excitement in the early 2000s, interest in the Cuban underwater formations slowly faded from the media spotlight. Access to the site is difficult, and permissions to explore it are politically and logistically complex due to its proximity to Cuban territorial waters. No major scientific expeditions have followed up with deep dives or extensive mapping. It's almost as if the mystery has been left to sleep beneath hundreds of meters of silence. A world lost to time? The possibility that an entire chapter of human history could lie hidden beneath the sea is both thrilling and sobering. We tend to think of our history as complete, of timelines as settled and civilizations as well-defined. But the ocean tells a different story. It tells of rising tides and forgotten lands, of coastlines swallowed whole, of knowledge lost not to fire or war, but to saltwater and time. Whether or not the formations off Cuba's coast are artificial, their existence is a haunting reminder that the Earth is still full of unknowns, that beneath the surface, secrets linger, waiting for us to ask the right questions, to listen more closely, to dive deeper. The ocean as time capsule. In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery isn't whether the Cuban formations are ruins or rocks, but how much of our past still sleeps beneath the waves. There are hundreds of underwater sites around the world, many yet unexplored, hidden beneath murky silt and shifting tides. Cities once vibrant now lie in silence, their streets filled with sand instead of footsteps, their stories told only in whispers of current and coral. And perhaps, just perhaps, one of those cities lies 2,000 feet below the Caribbean. Waiting. Number 10. The Antarctic anomaly, a deep-sea structure hidden beneath the ice. Beneath the frozen curtain of the Southern Ocean, wrapped in an eternal shroud of darkness, lies a mystery so vast and uncharted that it has eluded explorers, scientists, and satellites alike. This is the tale of the Antarctic anomaly, an unusual and possibly artificial structure deep beneath the ice-covered waters off the coast of Antarctica. Hidden far beneath the surface, in one of the most isolated and inhospitable environments on Earth, it rests like a forgotten sentinel, massive, silent, and enigmatic. There is something both serene and unnerving about the idea of the Antarctic seafloor. Here, even sunlight cannot reach. The crushing pressure would reduce any standard human craft to a crumpled relic. And the water temperature hovers just above freezing, preserving whatever mysteries lie within as though locked in time. Our story begins in 2006, when a joint satellite observation mission aimed at studying gravitational anomalies on Earth detected something strange. An unusual density reading coming from beneath the Wilkes Land region of East Antarctica. The structure appeared to be buried under more than 1.2 miles of ice and possibly extended into the seafloor itself. But it wasn't the size or location that made scientists pause. It was the shape. The readings suggested a dome-like formation, circular, symmetrical, and several hundred miles wide, too large and uniform to be easily explained by normal geological processes. The data was collected by NASA's GRACE, Gravity Recovery, and Climate Experiment satellites, which use changes in gravity to detect shifts in mass beneath the Earth's surface. What GRACE discovered seemed to suggest a mass anomaly, something dense, solid, and immovable. At first, scientists believed it might be a massive asteroid impact crater. The symmetry, the depth, and the scale all suggested such a possibility. After all, Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years, and it was entirely plausible that some ancient cataclysm had left a mark on the land before it was entombed in snow and silence. But as more data emerged, that theory grew thinner. The structure, dubbed by some researchers as the Wilkes Land Mass Concentration, or simply the Antarctic anomaly, showed characteristics that didn't quite match typical impact craters. The mass appeared too uniform, and there were hints of angularity in some of the subsurface mapping, straight lines and right angles that seemed to resist the randomness of natural formations. And so the speculation began. Could this be something older than the ice itself? Something built, not formed? Whispers of lost civilizations, ancient alien structures, and forgotten technologies began circulating in both mainstream and fringe scientific circles. Could an ancient species have built something here long before humanity recorded history? Could this be the final resting place of a civilization swallowed by the advancing ice? These questions, though speculative, touch on a much larger unknown, the fact that we have mapped only a fraction of Antarctica's subglacial landscape. In fact, we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about what lies beneath Antarctica's ice. What truly stirred the imagination, however, came in the form of sonar and magnetometer readings conducted by independent oceanic research vessels and private organizations in the late 2010s. While these missions were few, owing to the extreme logistical challenges of accessing this region, the data that came back showed faint readings of geometric patterns beneath the ocean floor ice shelf. Corridors, domes, and what some interpreted as entrances, huge voids that appeared hollow like artificial chambers. These readings were inconclusive and often dismissed by the broader scientific community. Yet they aligned uncannily with the anomalies first recorded by satellite imaging. Let us pause here. Imagine floating above the southern ocean in the stillness of night. The skies swirl with the faint auroras of the southern lights. Below you, beneath a mile of glacial ice, something vast and unknown sleeps. Whatever it is, it has been there for thousands, if not millions, of years. And no one knows how it got there or why. Some theorists have drawn connections between the Antarctic anomaly and the legends of Atlantis. According to some versions of Plato's account, Atlantis was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a vague reference that could be interpreted as pointing to Antarctica, especially when considering the shifting of Earth's crust over eons. The idea is radical but compelling. Could Antarctica have once been ice-free, home to an ancient civilization that vanished beneath a planetary shift? There's also the theory of pole shift, the idea that the Earth's outer crust can move over the inner mantle, repositioning entire continents. If such an event occurred, it's conceivable that Antarctica was once located in a temperate zone and only later drifted south to its current frigid location. Mainstream geology regards this as unlikely, but not entirely impossible. Meanwhile, the presence of subglacial lakes beneath Antarctica adds further layers to this mystery. In 2013, Russian scientists drilled down nearly 12,000 feet into the ice and reached Lake Vostok, a body of freshwater that had been sealed off for over 15 million years. Inside, they discovered unknown microbial life thriving in isolation. If life could exist there, what else might have survived, hidden from time? And what lies beneath these lakes? Are there caverns, networks, even voids large enough to shelter massive structures, or evidence of intelligent design? One speculative hypothesis gaining traction among fringe researchers is the hollow dome theory, based on gravitational mapping. Some believe the Antarctic anomaly represents a hollow, dome-shaped object embedded in the Earth's crust. The shape, as seen in some simulations, resembles an underground bunker or ancient facility, complete with corridors and multiple chambers. Skeptics, of course, argue that this is all conjecture. They point out that gravity anomalies can be caused by differences in rock density, ancient lava flows, or even just irregularities in the Earth's crust. They warn that reading too much into data with such limited resolution is dangerous, that it invites sensationalism and fantasy. But still, the questions remain. Why is this region so heavily restricted? Why have so many nations, including those with competing interests, agreed to preserve Antarctica under the Antarctic Treaty System, banning military activity and commercial exploitation? Is it just for science? Or is there something beneath the ice so extraordinary, so powerful, that it demands secrecy? In 2016, more curiosity was stirred when high-profile individuals made sudden, secretive visits to Antarctica. Among them were political figures, religious leaders, and corporate magnates, sparking online speculation about what they might have seen or known. One particular satellite image from Google Earth was circulated online, showing a blurry triangular formation poking through the ice, spurring countless theories of pyramids buried beneath the snow. While most were debunked as pareidolia, the tendency of the human mind to find patterns where none exist, the notion that entire structures could be hidden beneath the ice gained traction. Then there's the enigma of Operation High Jump. In 1946, Admiral Richard Byrd led a massive U.S. Navy expedition to Antarctica with over 4,000 personnel, aircraft, and warships. While the mission was officially for training and research, its scale was unusual. Byrd later made cryptic statements about advanced flying machines encountered near the poles, claims that remain controversial to this day. Whether these are fragments of truth or echoes of human imagination, they add layers of intrigue to the Antarctic mystery. Today, the Antarctic anomaly remains one of the least understood features on our planet. With technology advancing and autonomous underwater drones becoming more sophisticated, future missions may eventually pierce the veil of the Southern Ocean's darkness. Perhaps one day a submersible will glide through an opening in the ice shelf and shine a light on this mysterious mass. And perhaps it will find something unexpected, something that forces us to rewrite our understanding of history, geology, or even civilization itself. Until then, the Antarctic anomaly waits, silent beneath the ice, preserved in time. A structure, a secret, or simply a shadow of geology? We do not know. And in that not knowing, in that vast, echoing silence beneath the polar sea, lies the heart of all great mysteries.
Flight 19, the vanishing squadron over the Bermuda Triangle. In the hush of the early evening, as waves lap gently against the shore and the last colors of the sun begin to fade from the sky, we turn our attention to one of the ocean's most enduring and haunting enigmas, the mysterious disappearance of Flight 19. It's a name etched into the collective memory of maritime and aviation mystery alike. An incident cloaked in confusion, strange radio communications, and an eternal question: how can 5 U.S. Navy bombers, trained pilots, standard equipment, routine maneuvers, simply vanish without a trace? As you settle in and let your breathing slow, imagine with me the scene, December 5, 1945. World War II has recently ended. The world is shifting, healing, and returning to a sense of normalcy. But in the balmy air above the Atlantic, off the coast of Florida, something deeply abnormal is about to occur. Let us drift back to that day, to where the mystery began. The training mission. It was a Wednesday afternoon, routine on the surface, but what followed would ensure the flight's name, Flight 19, would be whispered for decades to come. At 2:10 p.m., 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale in Florida. This was a navigation and bombing training exercise. A loop, east into the Atlantic, north over open water, and then west back to base. Simple. Rehearsed. Familiar. There were 14 men aboard the 5 planes. The mission leader was Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, an experienced pilot with a strong record of service. Yet, from the moment the planes left the coast, strange events began to unfold. They radioed in as expected, at first. Then, slowly, confusion crept into their transmissions. Directional bearings became unclear. Compasses were reportedly malfunctioning. The ocean below, once a known and navigated space, became disorienting and foreign. Lost in broad daylight. As the planes flew farther from the coastline, a peculiar sense of displacement seemed to take hold. In one of the few surviving radio transmissions, a voice, believed to be Taylor's, is heard saying, "We can't find west. Everything is wrong, strange. We can't be sure of any direction. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should." The message was chilling in its vagueness. The ocean doesn't look as it should. What did he mean? Was it fog? An illusion created by the weather? Or was it something else entirely? Something not accounted for in standard pilot training? Over the next hour, radio operators on the mainland grew increasingly concerned. The flight group wasn't where it should be. Communications were garbled and panicked. Transmissions overlapped each other. And then silence. The last message from Flight 19 came at around 6:20 p.m., as the sun dipped below the Atlantic horizon. After that, the sea reclaimed its quiet, and the aircraft disappeared. No debris. No oil slick. No parachutes. Nothing. The search and rescue that also vanished. The U.S. Navy, alarmed by the loss of contact, launched one of the most extensive search operations in history. Aircraft were dispatched immediately. One of those was a PBM Mariner flying boat, equipped to search the seas and recover survivors. But as if one vanishing act wasn't enough, the PBM Mariner, with its 13-man crew, also disappeared that same night. No wreckage. No bodies. Just an empty ocean where once again, people had flown into nothingness. In total, 27 men were lost that day, all swallowed by the sea without a single definitive clue as to what happened. The Bermuda Triangle connection. Soon, the press and the public began to connect the disappearance of Flight 19 to the strange tales already associated with a particular stretch of ocean, the Bermuda Triangle. Roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this triangular zone has become synonymous with maritime and aerial anomalies. Ships vanish. Planes disappear. Instruments fail. Time itself, some say, behaves oddly. Skeptics call the legend nonsense. They point to statistics, saying the number of disappearances isn't out of proportion to the busy traffic of the area. But believers cite Flight 19 as Exhibit A. It wasn't one pilot making a mistake. It was 5. All trained. All seemingly caught in some kind of surreal confusion. And when a rescue plane sent to find them also vanished, it cemented the mystery in the public imagination. Alternate theories and lingering questions. Over the decades, investigators, journalists, scientists, and storytellers have proposed numerous explanations for the disappearance of Flight 19. Let's explore some of the most compelling and most mysterious of these. 1. Navigational error. The most conventional theory holds that Lieutenant Taylor became disoriented. Believing he was over the Florida Keys rather than the Bahamas, he guided the group further out to sea. This error in judgment, combined with failing daylight, fuel shortages, and bad weather, would have sealed their fate. Eventually, the planes would have run out of fuel and ditched into the Atlantic. But this explanation, while logical, doesn't satisfy all aspects of the case. For one, all 5 planes were equipped with compasses. For both Taylor's compass and the secondary compasses on multiple aircraft to fail simultaneously seems statistically improbable. Moreover, the pilots, some of whom were trainees, did not attempt to break formation and fly west using their own instruments, even when Taylor's directions appeared uncertain. 2. Magnetic anomalies. Some researchers suggest that the Bermuda Triangle is home to strange magnetic fields that can interfere with navigation equipment. The Earth's magnetic field isn't entirely uniform. There are locations where it shifts slightly, called magnetic declination zones. The Bermuda Triangle sits near one such area where true north and magnetic north align, leading to possible disorientation for those not aware or trained in that specific nuance. Could Flight 19 have been a victim of this magnetic strangeness? If so, why haven't more aircraft with modern instruments suffered the same fate? 3. Sudden weather shifts. The weather in the Atlantic can change rapidly. Squalls can form with little warning. Visibility can drop within minutes. Strong winds and turbulent seas can transform a clear sky into chaos. One theory posits that Flight 19 flew into such a storm. Disoriented and low on fuel, the planes may have crashed into rough waters and sunk quickly, leaving no trace. But even if the planes had crashed in bad weather, wouldn't at least some floating wreckage have been discovered in the following days or weeks? 4. Alien abduction or interdimensional portals. Now we step into more speculative territory. Some theories suggest that Flight 19 didn't simply crash. They were taken. Abducted, perhaps, by extraterrestrial forces monitoring the region. Or pulled into another dimension through a rift or portal that exists somewhere in the triangle. These ideas, while fantastical, persist because of how cleanly the planes disappeared. No evidence. No distress signals. No witnesses. It's almost as if they were erased. Could the ocean hide such a phenomenon, a thin place, where reality wavers? The science doesn't support it, but the mystery leaves room for imagination. 5. Time slip or temporal distortion. Some survivors of other Bermuda Triangle events have claimed strange experiences with time. Watches that run backward. Hours lost or gained. A sense of slipping through space. Could Flight 19 have experienced such an event, flying into a temporal distortion or anomaly? It's a theory more at home in science fiction, yet compelling because it matches the tone of Taylor's last transmissions. Everything looks strange. We don't know where we are. If time, or perception of time, was altered, even briefly, the disorientation could have made their position unrecoverable. Aftermath and legacy. The Navy's final report was inconclusive. Initially blaming pilot error, it was later amended to say, "Cause unknown." And so it remains. Every few years, new documentaries and podcasts revisit the case. New books propose alternate scenarios. Yet no concrete answers have emerged. The mystery of Flight 19 lingers not just because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen. No wreckage. No signal. No resolution. It's as if the Atlantic claimed the squadron and then chose to forget. A mystery that lulls. As we rest here, imagining the rolling ocean beneath silver moonlight, the story of Flight 19 lingers in the air like salt spray on the breeze. The silence of the sea can be comforting, but also eerie. In that silence, the ocean keeps its secrets well. Somewhere beneath those endless waves, perhaps the Avengers rest. Or perhaps they are somewhere else entirely, beyond the veil of what we understand. Flight 19 is more than a disappearance. It's a symbol. A reminder that even in our modern world, not all questions have answers. So let the mystery wrap around you like the night sky. Let it rock you gently, like a wave cradling a drifting vessel. And as you drift off, remember, the ocean has many voices, but some speak only in silence. Number 2. The Baltic Sea Anomaly, sunken structure or alien artifact? Beneath the rolling waves of the northern Baltic Sea, hidden within the frigid depths between Sweden and Finland, lies an enigma that continues to defy explanation. It's not a shipwreck, nor is it a known natural formation. It is something else. A circular object, roughly 60 meters in diameter, resting silently on the seafloor like a forgotten monument to something ancient and uncharted. Discovered by chance in 2011, this submerged anomaly has sparked debate, speculation, and fascination among scientists, divers, and dreamers alike. Some claim it is a natural geological formation. Others insist it's evidence of a long-lost civilization, or even an extraterrestrial craft that crashed into the sea thousands of years ago. Tonight, as the gentle hum of waves surrounds us, and the cold mystery of the deep wraps itself around our imagination, we descend through the shadowy waters to visit the Baltic Sea Anomaly, a mystery that lies not just beneath the sea, but at the edges of what we believe is possible. A discovery that changed everything. The story begins in June of 2011, when a team of Swedish treasure hunters from the group Ocean X, led by Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asberg, were scanning the seabed for sunken ships and valuable cargo. Their sonar equipment swept across the murky depths, charting the landscape beneath the waves, a routine part of their underwater explorations. But what appeared on their screen was anything but routine. A large, disc-shaped object lay on the sea floor, nearly 300 feet below the surface. Round, symmetrical, and seemingly structured, the formation appeared to have edges, grooves, and a distinct outline, like the buried ruins of something crafted, not shaped by nature. In that moment, a new mystery was born. What was this object? Why did it look so artificial? And how long had it been resting there, hidden in silence beneath the cold sea? The anomaly itself. According to Ocean X, the object measures about 60 meters, nearly 200 feet, in diameter. Some compared it to the shape of the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, rounded, metallic-looking, with what appeared to be ramps and right angles. The surface was described as completely unusual, with marks and features unlike any normal stone or sediment. Sonar images revealed not just the object itself, but a long, flattened trail leading up to it, almost as if the object had slid across the seabed before coming to a halt. This led to early speculation that the anomaly could be a crashed spacecraft, something that had plummeted into the sea and left a mark in its wake. The texture of the formation appeared strange, too. Divers who visited the site later reported a surface that was unusually smooth in places, with what looked like walls or stair-like features. Some noted an apparent opening or cavity within the structure. Adding to the mystery, electronic equipment reportedly malfunctioned when brought close to the anomaly. Cameras, lights, and even satellite phones began to fail, as if the object was emitting some kind of energy or electromagnetic interference, though this has never been scientifically verified. Could it be a natural geological structure shaped over time by ice and water? Or was it the fossilized remnant of something once alive, perhaps an ancient building or device left behind by an unknown civilization? The deeper one looks, the less clear the answer becomes. Theories abound. As soon as word of the discovery spread, speculation exploded. Theory 1: Natural formation. Some geologists have suggested that the Baltic Sea anomaly is simply a case of glacial movement. During the Ice Age, vast sheets of ice dragged and deposited rocks across the region, leaving behind unusual patterns and shapes. Supporters of this theory argue that what Ocean X found was a combination of sedimentary rocks and bedrock sculpted by natural forces. To them, the object's apparent structure is an illusion, a trick of sonar imaging and imagination. But if it's merely rock, why do so many believe it to be artificial? And what about the odd texture, symmetry, and electromagnetic interference reported by the dive team? Theory 2: Sunken city or ancient structure. Others propose that the anomaly may be part of a submerged structure, possibly the ruins of an ancient city or megalithic monument lost to time. The round shape, some argue, could represent a prehistoric temple, fortress, or platform, similar in concept to Stonehenge or Göbekli Tepe. If this were true, it would suggest that humans, or some other intelligent species, were building complex structures long before recorded history, in regions now buried beneath the sea. Theory 3: Nazi technology. In a more modern twist, some have speculated that the anomaly might be a remnant of World War II, perhaps a lost Nazi anti-submarine device, radar array, or secret base sunk during the conflict. The Baltic Sea was a heavily trafficked military region during the war, and many experimental technologies were deployed there. However, no official record has ever surfaced of a device matching the anomaly's description. And the idea that such a massive object could lie undetected for decades strains credibility. Theory 4: Extraterrestrial craft. Perhaps the most controversial and captivating theory is that the anomaly is a crashed UFO. The circular shape, long trail behind it, and electronic disturbances all feed into this narrative. Supporters of this idea argue that the anomaly's unnatural appearance cannot be explained by any known geological process. Could it be that long ago, a craft of unknown origin fell from the sky and came to rest beneath the Baltic Sea? If so, what became of its occupants? And is it still dormant, waiting to be rediscovered? These questions remain unanswered, and perhaps they always will. The dive expeditions. Ocean X returned to the site on multiple occasions, conducting dive missions to study and photograph the anomaly up close. They brought back images, samples, and first-hand accounts of the mysterious structure. According to the team, the object felt like concrete to the touch. It emitted strange readings and seemed to be made of materials not commonly found in that part of the sea. In some areas, divers noted darkened stone that looked scorched, as if exposed to extreme heat. One diver described the eerie experience of swimming up to the structure, only to have his equipment begin to glitch and flicker. Another said it felt as though they were being watched, a sensation shared by more than one crew member. These subjective reports add a haunting, dreamlike quality to the mystery. Whether rooted in fact or in the deep psychological effect of the unknown, they serve to deepen our fascination with the anomaly. Scientific skepticism. Many scientists remain skeptical of the more outlandish claims surrounding the Baltic Sea anomaly. Without peer-reviewed studies, extensive sample analysis, or transparent data, most researchers are hesitant to endorse the idea that the structure is anything but geological. Skeptics also point out that sonar imaging can be misleading, often exaggerating features and creating patterns that appear symmetrical or artificial. Underwater lighting conditions, sediment movement, and low visibility can all contribute to misinterpretation. Yet despite these rational explanations, the anomaly has continued to defy easy categorization. The exact origin, composition, and purpose, if it has one, remain a mystery. A mystery unfolding in silence. What draws us to mysteries like the Baltic Sea anomaly? Is it the thrill of the unknown? The hope that something truly extraordinary lies beneath our feet, or beneath the waves? Perhaps it is the quiet suggestion that the world is not yet fully known. That despite all our science, satellites, and sensors, there are still places where wonder lingers, where legends may yet be real. Beneath the cold, black waters of the Baltic Sea, a silent guardian lies in wait. Whether it is a rock, a ruin, or a relic of otherworldly origin, we may never know. And maybe that's the point. For tonight, as the currents carry us past its shadowed form and the ocean sings its lullaby of mystery, let your mind drift with it. Imagine the stories, the civilizations, the possibilities. Some say the sea keeps its secrets better than the land ever could. And in the heart of its silence, one of its greatest secrets still waits, still sleeps. Number 3. The bloop, a sound from the abyss. Cue soft ambient ocean sounds, slowly fading in as the narration begins. As the deep sea slumbers beneath layers of cold and pressure, a sound once stirred it, so loud, so powerful, that it echoed across the vast Pacific. It came from nowhere, and from everywhere. A low, rumbling bellow, deep and resonant, unlike anything ever heard before or since. It became known simply as the bloop. This wasn't the call of a whale. It wasn't the groan of shifting tectonic plates. It wasn't the crash of an underwater avalanche. It was something else, unclassifiable, mysterious, unexplained. Tonight, let us descend again into the twilight waters. Far from any coastline, beyond the reach of ships and satellites, into a sonic enigma that has haunted scientists and storytellers alike since the late 1990s. The bloop, a mystery that begins not with myth, but with a recording a sound that shouldn't exist. The year was 1997. Deep in the southern Pacific Ocean, an array of underwater microphones, called hydrophones, was silently listening to the sea. These instruments, originally developed by the US Navy to track Soviet submarines during the Cold War, had been repurposed by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, to study natural underwater phenomena, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, marine life. On a quiet day in late summer, the sensors captured something that astonished even the most seasoned analysts. It was a low-frequency, ultra-powerful sound that rose rapidly in pitch, almost like a massive underwater roar. It was picked up by multiple hydrophones over 3,000 miles apart. The intensity of the sound implied it must have originated from a colossal source, far larger than any known sea creature, far louder than any whale song, and more widespread than any geological activity typically recorded. It didn't match any cataloged signature of underwater earthquakes or volcanoes. It had structure, it had character, and it had power. The team at NOAA dubbed the noise the bloop. Even more perplexing, it seemed to originate near a remote part of the Pacific Ocean, not far from the place H.P. Lovecraft once described in fiction as the sunken city of R'lyeh, the home of the ancient god Cthulhu. Coincidence? Maybe. But as with all great mysteries, timing and location can feed wonder. Charting the uncharted. The sound was triangulated to coordinates roughly 50 degrees south, 100 degrees west, an isolated region of the South Pacific, thousands of miles from the nearest landmass. This expanse is often referred to as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, or Point Nemo, the place on Earth furthest from land in all directions. Fewer ships travel through this patch of sea than almost any other. It is desolate, empty, deep. At its deepest, this stretch plunges to over 4,000 meters, well into the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone of the ocean, where no sunlight penetrates and few humans have ever ventured. It is in this underwater darkness that the bloop was born. The size and volume of the sound were staggering. According to estimates, for an animal to produce a call of that magnitude, it would have to be larger than a blue whale, the largest animal known to have ever existed. And yet, no such creature has ever been observed. No bones. No carcasses. No sightings. Nothing. This sparked a wave of speculation that continues to ripple through scientific and speculative circles to this day. Was it an animal? Let us start with the most organic explanation. Could the bloop have been biological in origin? Could it have been the call of some yet undiscovered leviathan, dwelling in the Hadal trenches far beneath our current reach? Blue whales emit calls at around 180 decibels. The bloop, however, was estimated to be several times more powerful. If it were a biological signal, it would imply a creature of unimaginable size, larger than any vertebrate we've ever cataloged. Marine biologists, for the most part, remain skeptical. There are limits, they argue, to how large an animal can physically grow and still survive in Earth's gravity and environmental conditions. But others point to the ocean's largely unexplored depths. It is a staggering truth that we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deepest parts of our own oceans. Over 80% of the seafloor remains unmapped, unvisited, and largely unknown. Could there be a behemoth that lives in the deep trenches, only occasionally moving close enough to shallower waters to be detected by our instruments? Could the bloop be its voice? Some cryptozoologists believe the answer is yes. They theorize a giant, undiscovered cephalopod or a megafaunal relic from Earth's prehistoric past, possibly even something akin to the legendary kraken. Skeptics argue against it. No evidence, they say. No sonar hits. No DNA traces. But then again, how much evidence would we expect from a creature that lives far beyond human observation, and that only rarely breaks its silence? Was it geological? The more grounded theory suggests the bloop was a natural phenomenon. One of the leading ideas is that it may have been an ice quake, caused by large-scale ice calving or cracking in Antarctica. This is not entirely out of place. Ice quakes can generate low-frequency sounds when massive sheets of ice fracture, sending vibrations into the ocean. NOAA eventually classified the bloop under this category, noting its spectral similarities to known ice events. Yet, many experts still find this explanation unsatisfying. Why? Because ice quakes have a chaotic structure. They're usually noisy and random. The bloop, by contrast, had a consistent, rising frequency and an organic, almost communicative character. It sounded alive. It didn't resemble a chaotic rupture of ice, but more like something vocalizing. Something that began quiet, then grew in pitch and intensity, like a creature releasing a drawn-out call. If it was an ice quake, it was an anomalous one that didn't quite fit the mold. So the question remains, even if it could be an ice quake, is that the most satisfying explanation? Or is there something deeper and stranger? Other theories, submarines, aliens, and the unknown. Of course, where science hesitates, speculation often thrives. Some theorists believe the bloop may have been the sound of a secret military test, perhaps a submarine operation or a new type of underwater technology being tested by a government agency. But no official admission has ever surfaced. And the intensity and reach of the sound suggests something far more vast than a man-made machine. Others point to more speculative ideas, like alien activity under the sea. The ocean is, after all, one of the few environments where extraterrestrial visitors could theoretically hide in plain sight. Unlike the skies, which are often watched, or the land, which is mapped and settled, the oceans offer a refuge of darkness and depth.
Could the bloop have been a signal from a submerged UFO, an unidentified submerged object or USO? Or perhaps, as some propose, it was something ancient, something awakening. A remnant of a long-lost civilization. A living relic of a forgotten age. Yes, these ideas may stretch credulity. But that is the nature of mystery. It invites us to imagine, to stretch the limits of what we think we know. And the ocean, more than any place on Earth, is the realm where science and myth still intertwine. The sound of silence. Since 1997, no sound quite like the bloop has been heard again. Other anomalous sounds have been recorded, strange clicks, groans, whistles, but none have matched the scale and character of that singular acoustic event. It remains a one-time phenomenon. NOAA still classifies it as likely due to ice movement, but not definitively. There remains room for doubt. And so the mystery lingers, suspended in the deep like a drifting jellyfish. Beautiful. Unreachable. Unnamed. To this day, oceanographers replay the clip in lectures and discussions. And when they do, they often end with the same conclusion: we don't know. And in that simple phrase lies the heart of all great mysteries. We don't know. We don't know what made the sound. We don't know what lives beneath our oceans. We don't know if we are alone in the deep, or if something else, something ancient, vast, and unseen, stirs below, drifting into the depths. So now, as we leave the tale of the bloop behind, imagine the ocean once again in perfect silence. Blackness stretching for miles in all directions. Pressure so immense, it would crush a submarine. And through it all, silence. Until, perhaps one day, it happens again. A ripple. A vibration. A sound, rising in pitch, moving across thousands of miles in seconds. Will we be ready? Or will it once again whisper through the dark, lost to our ears, until it chooses to return? For now, let us float in that silence. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts drift with the currents. Let the mystery lull you to sleep, as the sea sings its unknown lullabies. Because sometimes, the ocean doesn't need to roar. Sometimes, it just waits. Number 4, the Baltic Sea Anomaly, a sunken mystery beneath the waves. The ocean floor is a canvas painted in shadows, its contours sculpted by time, tectonics, and mystery. And sometimes, amid the swaying forests of seaweed and the silent procession of ancient currents, we find something that shouldn't be there. In the summer of 2011, a Swedish team of treasure hunters known as the Ocean X Team was scanning the depths of the Baltic Sea in search of old shipwrecks. They had expected to find wooden remnants of merchant vessels, or perhaps metallic echoes of wartime wrecks resting in silence. Instead, what they found would spark a global debate, one that remains unresolved to this day. At a depth of around 300 feet, on the seafloor between Sweden and Finland, their sonar captured something unusual. A large, disc-shaped object, approximately 200 feet in diameter, resting on the bottom of the sea. The images resembled something out of a science fiction movie, a perfectly round structure, with what appeared to be ramps, smooth edges, and even something that looked like a staircase leading into a central dome. Some likened it to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. Others whispered of ancient civilizations and crashed alien craft. They named it the Baltic Sea Anomaly, a discovery that made waves. The Ocean X team, led by Peter Lindbergh and Dennis Asperg, wasn't new to shipwrecks. They'd been scouring the seabed for years, finding sunken treasures, bottles of vintage champagne, and wrecks dating back centuries. But this was different. As they examined the sonar images, the team noted several peculiarities. The object appeared to have unnatural, symmetrical features.
It rose 10 to 13 feet off the seabed and was flanked by a runway-like structure nearly 1,000 feet long, as if it had slid into place or crash-landed. There were sharp right angles, evenly spaced grooves, and surface details that looked too uniform to be random geology. Adding to the intrigue was what happened next. According to the team, as their remotely operated vehicles and equipment approached the anomaly, their electronics began to fail. Cameras stopped working. Lights flickered. Communications dropped out. It was as if the structure was emitting a form of interference. Was it simply coincidental? Or was something else at play beneath the waves? Nature's work, or something more? Skeptics were quick to weigh in. Geologists suggested the anomaly could be a natural formation, possibly a product of glacial activity, where melting ice sheets had sculpted and deposited unusual rock formations at the end of the last ice age. The circular shape, they said, might be due to unusual volcanic or sedimentary processes, with erosion carving out the symmetrical features. Indeed, the Baltic Sea was once covered by glaciers thousands of feet thick. As they retreated, they left behind vast moraines, ridges, and erratic stones. Could the anomaly be one of these? But the Ocean X team disagreed. They argued that the sonar returns and the physical features, such as the staircase-like formations, dome-shaped top, and regular grooves, were too complex, too deliberate. They believed they had found something either man-made or, at the very least, unexplainably artificial. And then, there was the material analysis. Divers who managed to retrieve samples described strange compositions. Some fragments were reportedly metallic, including manganese, which doesn't naturally form in this way on Earth's seafloor. One diver described black stone-like objects that seemed almost manufactured. Another mentioned soot-like coatings, as if the structure had been burned or subjected to intense heat. All of this further deepened the mystery. An ancient crash site? Among the more sensational theories is the idea that the Baltic Sea anomaly is a crashed UFO, buried under centuries of marine sediment. Proponents of this idea point to its saucer-like shape, the landing path leading to it, and the electromagnetic disturbances reported by the Ocean X team. To them, this is a remnant of a visitation in the distant past, a spacecraft that fell to Earth long before recorded history. They argue that Earth's oceans, covering over 70% of the planet's surface, are ideal hiding places for such artifacts. Perhaps this object was buried intentionally. Or perhaps it fell into the sea, forgotten by time, waiting to be discovered by accident, as it was. Others propose a different origin, that the anomaly is a megalithic structure, built by a long-lost civilization that once inhabited the area before rising sea levels submerged their world. Could it be the ruin of an ancient temple, observatory, or gathering place, now resting beneath the waves? Technological roadblocks. Despite the intrigue and the public's fascination, efforts to fully explore and understand the anomaly have been limited. The Baltic Sea is notoriously difficult to work in.
Its waters are cold, murky, and often filled with sediment that clouds visibility. Storms and shifting currents make diving risky. Equipment malfunctions are common, especially at such depths. The Ocean X team attempted multiple expeditions, using submersibles, divers, and sonar imaging. But they were met with challenges at every turn: poor visibility, broken gear, and unexpected costs. Funding became an issue. Some accused the team of exaggeration, others believed they were being suppressed. Adding to the confusion, later sonar images released by third parties showed less clarity than the originals. Some claimed the anomaly had been debunked. Others believed the truth was being covered up. And still, the object remained, silent, unmoving, unexplained. A portal to the past? The idea that something ancient and unexplainable lies at the bottom of the Baltic touches a deep chord in us. The same curiosity that drives us to explore pyramids, decipher lost languages, and peer into the stars. What if the anomaly is a key to understanding a lost epoch of human history? Some theorists connect the site to Atlantis-like myths, suggesting that civilizations before ours possessed advanced knowledge that allowed them to construct vast stone monuments, or even air or seafaring technology. They point to similarities between the Baltic Sea anomaly and structures found at sites like Yonaguni in Japan, or Puma Punku in Bolivia, places where massive stones appear to be cut and arranged with technological precision not expected of their era. Could these be the fingerprints of a prehistoric culture whose memory survives only in myth? A monument of nature's mystery. Of course, the scientific consensus remains cautious. Without conclusive evidence, most researchers lean toward a natural origin. Geological processes, after all, can produce astonishing formations, from perfectly spherical boulders to hexagonal basalt columns and underwater terraces that mimic architecture. But even nature's hand can leave behind a mystery that invites awe. Even if the Baltic Sea anomaly is merely a product of ice, pressure, and time, it still challenges us. It reminds us that the deep ocean holds secrets, some born of Earth, some perhaps not. The silence beneath the waves. Imagine now that you are drifting gently above the anomaly. The water is dark, but calm. All around, silence reigns, broken only by the distant hum of your own thoughts. The shape looms below you, massive, round, still. You cannot explain it. No one can. But in its presence, you feel something ancient. Something older than words. A riddle carved in stone, waiting patiently beneath the sea. Its edges are softened by silt and time, yet its design remains defiant. Who or what placed it here? Was it chance or design? The sea does not answer. It only watches. The echo of the unknown. Perhaps one day, technology will evolve enough to reveal the truth behind the Baltic Sea anomaly. Perhaps submersibles will descend with better imaging tools, or autonomous drones will scan its contours in perfect clarity. Or perhaps, it will remain as it is now, a quiet enigma at the bottom of the world, shielded by depth and darkness. Until then, we are left to wonder. And wondering, perhaps, is enough. For in our quest to explain the unknown, we are reminded of how much there still is to discover. How small we are, how vast the ocean is, and how its mysteries are, in some ways, reflections of our own. So let the waves cradle you now, as you drift through this ancient riddle. Let the deep pull you softly into dreams, where sonar echoes and the whisper of history dance together beneath the sea. Tomorrow may bring answers. But tonight, there is only the stillness, the anomaly, the unspoken question, and the peace of not knowing. Number 5. The vanishing of the USS Cyclops, America's greatest naval mystery. Close your eyes and imagine a vast ship, 542 feet long, gliding through the still blue waters of the Atlantic. It's 1918, and the world is in turmoil, yet the sea, for a moment, is calm. Aboard this vessel are over 300 souls, resting, working, and thinking of home. Then, like a mirage dissolving in heat, the ship, simply disappears. No wreckage. No distress call. No survivors. This is the story of the USS Cyclops, a mystery that has haunted the ocean for more than a century. Tonight, as you gently drift into sleep, let us guide you through the still, uncertain waters of this haunting enigma, a story not only of vanishing steel and storm-tossed seas, but of eerie silence that even modern science struggles to explain. A ship like no other. The USS Cyclops was no ordinary vessel. Commissioned in 1910 by the United States Navy, it was one of 4 colliers in the Proteus class, massive ships designed to carry coal to fuel the fleet. Longer than a football field and built with a towering steel frame, the Cyclops was capable of carrying over 12,000 tons of cargo. During its final voyage, however, it wasn't coal in its belly, but a different, much heavier substance, manganese ore, critical to steel production during wartime. Sailing from Brazil toward Baltimore in March of 1918, the USS Cyclops was thought to be safe from enemy threat. The First World War still raged across the Atlantic, and German U-boats were a concern, but the Cyclops was unescorted. The Navy believed the ship would make it home safely. Yet, it never arrived. Into the Triangle. The last confirmed sighting of the USS Cyclops was in Barbados, after a brief stopover for resupply and inspection. From there, it sailed northward, and into what we now call the Bermuda Triangle. Yes, the infamous stretch of ocean known for missing aircraft, vanished vessels, and strange phenomena. Though the term, Bermuda Triangle, wouldn't be coined until decades later, the sea had already begun whispering its secrets. And the Cyclops would become one of the Triangle's earliest and most baffling casualties. Silence in the fog. There was no SOS. No final radio transmission. No flare spotted in the dark skies. The ship simply vanished. Days turned into weeks, and eventually into months. The Navy launched a full-scale search, combing thousands of square miles of ocean. Not a single life raft, not a single plank of wood, not a drop of oil. The USS Cyclops had disappeared as though swallowed whole by the sea. President Woodrow Wilson would later remark, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship." And even now, that mystery endures. Theories of the deep. Many have tried to explain what could have happened. Some theories are grounded in known science, while others spiral into the unknown. Let us gently explore them one by one. 1. Structural failure. One of the most accepted theories suggests the Cyclops may have succumbed to a catastrophic structural failure. The ship, overloaded with manganese ore, far denser than coal, may have become unstable. If the ore shifted during transit, it could have thrown the ship off balance, causing it to capsize and sink rapidly. The problem? Ships that break apart often leave debris. Oil slicks. Something. But Cyclops left nothing. 2. Enemy attack. World War I was still raging. Could the Cyclops have been sunk by a German U-boat? No German vessel ever claimed responsibility. After the war, captured German naval logs and commanders confirmed they had not encountered or sunk the Cyclops. This theory, too, eventually sank. 3. Mutiny or sabotage. An eerie cloud surrounded the ship's final voyage, particularly around its commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander George Worley. Worley was described by some crew as erratic and temperamental. Reports suggested he may have clashed with the men and had even taken to walking the deck in his underwear, brandishing a pistol. Could a mutiny have occurred? Or sabotage? There is no evidence, only rumors that drift through the fog of history. 4. Sudden storm. The Atlantic in March is known for unpredictable weather. Perhaps a rogue wave, or a freak squall, overwhelmed the ship. Again, the sheer size of the Cyclops, and the total lack of wreckage, makes this unlikely, but not impossible. In 1918, the absence of radar, GPS, or satellite coverage meant a vessel could disappear beneath a violent sea, leaving no one the wiser. 5. The Bermuda Triangle Effect. Then comes the most mysterious theory, that the USS Cyclops fell victim to the Bermuda Triangle, a zone of strange energy.
Magnetic anomalies and unexplained vanishings. Many vessels and aircraft have reportedly disappeared within the triangle over the decades. Some believe the area distorts navigational instruments. Others suggest underwater methane gas eruptions could cause sudden sinkings. A few even whisper of time slips, portals, or underwater alien activity. Of course, mainstream science does not support these claims. But the sea, as always, keeps its secrets. And the mystery of the Cyclops remains its crown jewel. Echoes of a ghost ship. In the years that followed, no trace of the Cyclops was ever found. And stranger still, its sister ships, the USS Proteus and USS Nereus, would also vanish in the North Atlantic under similar circumstances in the 1940s. Same type of ship. Same region. Same mysterious silence. 3 giant Navy ships. All lost without a trace. Could it be coincidence? Or was there something inherently flawed in the design of these colliers? Or something lurking beneath the ocean that we still don't understand? The human element. Beyond the ship's size and mystery lies something deeper, the loss of 306 souls. Fathers, brothers, sons, people who vanished from history without explanation or farewell. Their families received no closure, no burial, only a telegram that said, "Missing." It is said that some family members continued to wait at train stations or docks for years, hoping the Cyclops might appear one day on the horizon, her steel hull gleaming in the sun, as though nothing had happened. But she never came home. Dreams beneath the surface. As you rest now, let your thoughts drift deep into the Atlantic. Imagine the Cyclops, resting silently on the ocean floor, a giant steel shadow hidden beneath a century of silt. Or perhaps, she is still out there somewhere, moving slowly between realms of time and tide, lost in the folds of history, reality, and something far stranger. Tonight, as your breath slows and your body relaxes,
allow the mystery of the USS Cyclops to wrap around you like a gentle wave. Let her unanswered fate become a vessel for dreams. For not all stories need endings. Some remain open, like the sea itself. Number 6. The bioluminescent bays of Puerto Rico, nature's most luminous secret. As twilight drapes the Caribbean sky in soft hues of violet and gold, a hush falls over the mangrove-lined shores of Puerto Rico. The water laps gently at the edge of the canoe, and the air is thick with the scent of salt and leaves. Everything feels still, peaceful. But as your paddle touches the water, something magical stirs beneath the surface. With each stroke, tiny sparks of blue light flare into being, as though you've awakened stars beneath the sea. Welcome to Puerto Rico's bioluminescent bays, glowing lagoons that shimmer with a mysterious, ethereal light. To the casual observer, this might seem like a clever trick of moonlight, or a harmless optical illusion. But in truth, what unfolds here each night is one of the ocean's most stunning and scientifically baffling displays. These glowing waters have inspired ancient legends, defied easy explanation, and even puzzled scientists to this day. Despite decades of research, we still don't fully understand why these bays are so vibrant, or why they glow so much more intensely than anywhere else on Earth. So tonight, as we drift gently over these glowing waters, let's surrender to the wonder. Let's explore the mystery, the magic, and the unanswered questions of Puerto Rico's luminous lagoons. The enchanted waters. There are only a few true bioluminescent bays in the world, and 3 of the brightest are all found in Puerto Rico: Mosquito Bay in Vieques, Laguna Grande in Fajardo, and La Parguera in Lajes. These glowing bays are home to millions, perhaps billions, of microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates. When disturbed, these tiny plankton emit a blue-green flash of light, a defense mechanism meant to startle predators.
When present in large numbers, their flashes create a glowing halo around anything that touches the water, a fish, a paddle, or even a swimmer's hand. But here's where the mystery begins. While bioluminescent organisms exist in oceans across the globe, nowhere do they gather with such density and brilliance as in these Puerto Rican bays. In Mosquito Bay, for instance, a single gallon of water can contain over 700,000 glowing dinoflagellates. This is far beyond what is considered normal, anywhere. Why here? Why are these bays glowing more intensely than any other waters on the planet? Science offers some clues, but not enough to quiet the mystery. The science we know. Dinoflagellates are part of a group of single-celled organisms that use photosynthesis to generate energy, much like plants. They're believed to produce light as a way to scare off predators or to attract larger creatures that might eat the ones trying to eat them. In other words, it's a kind of underwater alarm system. In theory, the glow of a bay depends on several factors: water temperature, salinity, nutrients, and the surrounding environment. Mangrove forests, which are abundant in Puerto Rico, offer ideal protection and rich organic material for these organisms to thrive. Calm, warm waters help keep them undisturbed, allowing them to build up in extraordinary numbers. But even with all these elements present, the level of bioluminescence in Puerto Rico remains unmatched. Other places with similar conditions don't exhibit the same brilliant glow. Some bays flicker faintly, others don't glow at all. So we ask again, why Puerto Rico? Why do the laws of biology seem to amplify their effects in these hidden lagoons? The light that shouldn't be. Adding to the intrigue is the resiliency of these glowing bays. Environmental scientists once feared that Mosquito Bay had gone dark forever after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico in 2017. Mangrove trees were shredded, sediment stirred up, and the delicate ecosystem thrown into chaos. For weeks, the bay was quiet, dim. But then something astonishing happened. Not only did the glow return, but it came back stronger. The bioluminescence became even brighter than it had been before the storm, leaving scientists scratching their heads. Was it a shift in the water chemistry? A rebalancing of the ecosystem? Or was something deeper at play, something we don't yet understand? The idea that these delicate creatures could adapt and even thrive under extreme stress suggests a level of biological resilience that challenges current scientific models. Ancient myths and glowing spirits. Long before modern science gave names to dinoflagellates and nutrient cycles, the people of Puerto Rico told their own stories about the glowing waters. According to Taino legends, the light was a spiritual force, a sacred presence. Some believed it was the work of sea spirits, called zimis, who protected the island and revealed themselves through the luminous lagoons. To bathe in the glowing waters was to receive healing, to be purified, and to be blessed by the ancestors. Later, during colonial times, Spanish explorers were terrified of the bays. Some believed the glowing water was the work of witches or demons. In fact, there were efforts to block off access to these bays entirely, thinking that sunlight or fresh water could extinguish the unholy light. Ironically, it was this isolation that helped preserve the ecosystems, allowing them to flourish undisturbed through the centuries. Even today, visitors who witness the glow for the first time often describe it as a spiritual experience, an almost mystical encounter with nature's power and beauty. Scientific theories and open questions. Researchers have studied the bioluminescent bays for decades, and yet the same core questions keep surfacing. Why are dinoflagellate concentrations so unusually high in Puerto Rico? Why do these organisms glow brighter here than anywhere else? And how do these ecosystems remain stable, despite storms, pollution, and tourism? Some scientists speculate that unique geological conditions beneath the bays may be contributing to the phenomenon. There are even fringe theories suggesting geothermal vents or underground minerals are releasing chemicals that feed the microorganisms in unseen ways. Others believe that subtle electromagnetic fields in the region, perhaps tied to fault lines or tectonic activity, could be influencing the organism's behavior, causing them to glow more brightly or reproduce more efficiently. Still, none of these theories fully account for what we see. Bioluminescence, by nature, is an energy-intensive process. It requires organisms to produce luciferin, a special molecule that reacts with oxygen to produce light. Why would microscopic plankton use so much energy to emit light unless there was a compelling evolutionary advantage? And how do they manage this in such massive numbers, without depleting their resources? A living mystery. One of the most fascinating aspects of the bioluminescent bays is how they defy easy classification. They are not fossils or ruins, like Puma Punku or Atlantis. They are not echoes of something lost. They are alive, breathing, and changing every night. They are part of a living, pulsing ecosystem that operates just beneath the surface of our understanding. Scientists, ecologists, and curious travelers all return to the same conclusion: we still don't know everything. For all our knowledge, all our tools and data, something about these glowing waters escapes us. And perhaps that is exactly as it should be, letting the mystery linger. As your canoe drifts across the dark water, the sky above is filled with stars, and the water below mirrors their light. Your hand trails in the bay, leaving a glowing trail in your wake. For a moment you are suspended between two universes. One of cosmic fire, the other of underwater stars. In this suspended space, the usual questions melt away. What matters is not how the glow exists, but that it does. That in this quiet corner of the world, the ocean sings in sparks and whispers. So let go. Let the mystery of the bioluminescent bays lull you into calm. Let their glow surround your thoughts and hush your mind. As you close your eyes, imagine you're floating on a sea of light, buoyed not just by water, but by wonder. For in a world driven by facts and figures, it is the unanswered questions that bring us closest to magic. And here, in Puerto Rico's glowing waters, magic still exists. Number 7. The Baltic Sea Anomaly, a sunken object that shouldn't exist. In the gentle sway of the northern seas, where the waters between Sweden and Finland whisper ancient tales, lies a mystery beneath the surface that continues to baffle scientists, divers, and curious minds alike. Imagine gliding over the dark, chilly depths of the Baltic Sea. Your sonar equipment begins to ping oddly, detecting something not organic, not a rock formation, but something strange. Something enormous, structured, and completely out of place. This is the beginning of the story of the Baltic Sea Anomaly, an underwater enigma that has inspired speculation, debate, and wonder since its discovery in 2011. And tonight, as the ocean sighs and the stars shimmer above, we'll gently descend into its depths, letting curiosity guide us to what some have called a lost artifact, a natural marvel, or a relic from beyond this world. The discovery that sparked a storm. In June 2011, a Swedish diving team known as Ocean X was conducting a routine search for sunken shipwrecks in the northern Baltic Sea. Their mission, like many before, was a commercial one, searching for valuable cargo lost to history. But on that particular expedition, their sonar scan revealed something unexpected. Roughly 300 feet below the surface, the team's sonar picked up a large, circular object resting on the seafloor. At first glance, it appeared to be about 60 meters in diameter, approximately 200 feet, and bore an uncanny resemblance to a modern science fiction spaceship. The shape was too geometric, too precise, too symmetrical to be a typical rock formation. What made it even more intriguing was a set of features resembling ramps, steps, and what looked like hallways or corridors. As news spread, headlines erupted across the internet. Millennium Falcon found at the bottom of the Baltic Sea? Alien ship discovered underwater? Speculation quickly followed. But what exactly had the divers found? And why has the mystery deepened instead of being solved? Describing the anomaly. When the Ocean X team returned for further exploration, they sent down divers and a submersible. What they observed confirmed the anomaly was more than just an ordinary boulder. The anomaly is roughly circular, with a raised dome-like structure on top and what appears to be a tail, or runway, extending behind it, suggesting motion or landing. There are features that appear to be cut into the rock, angular lines, smooth corridors, and seemingly unnatural depressions. Photographs and additional sonar images showed what looked like a stair-step formation on one side and what some interpreted as a perfectly smooth ramp or corridor leading inside. The material was described as being composed of metallic stone, with the divers reporting strange electrical interference whenever they got close, malfunctions in cameras, satellite phones, and lights. Even more curiously, the seafloor surrounding the object was disturbed, as though the object had skidded to a stop before coming to rest. To some, this was all too familiar. It looked like the crash site of an advanced craft. Theories began to surface. As expected, theories rushed in. Some were grounded, some speculative, and others truly otherworldly. Let's examine the most compelling ones. 1. A natural rock formation? The skeptical and most accepted view in academic circles is that the Baltic Sea anomaly is a glacial rock formation left behind by retreating ice sheets from the last ice age. Glaciers, after all, have sculpted the landscape of northern Europe. Their retreat could have deposited a large stone in a curious shape. According to this theory, the symmetrical appearance is merely coincidental, and the strange readings from sonar are distortions or misinterpretations. But even among geologists, this explanation is not unanimously accepted. The patterns, symmetry, and smooth surfaces remain highly unusual for natural formations in the area. 2. Man-made structure from a lost civilization? Others suggest the anomaly is a man-made object, but not necessarily alien. It could be the remnants of a sunken temple, fortification, or ceremonial site, perhaps built by a civilization we've yet to fully understand. The structure's resemblance to ancient architecture has fueled comparisons to Atlantis, or even lost Norse settlements swallowed by the sea. But there are no known civilizations in that region of Europe that built such monumental structures out in the ocean, or left behind evidence of underwater stonework of this magnitude. 3. A Nazi secret weapon? A more recent theory ties the anomaly to World War II. Some believe the object could be remnants of a sunken Nazi anti-submarine device or secret weapon. The Baltic Sea was heavily trafficked during the war, and numerous wrecks, ships, planes, submarines, lie on its floor. But this object doesn't match any known design from the era, and no records indicate anything similar ever being built or lost at sea. 4. A crashed UFO? Of course, the theory that caught the most media attention is the most dramatic, that the anomaly is a UFO, an alien spacecraft that crash-landed into the ocean thousands, or even millions of years ago. Supporters of this theory point to the shape, the apparent artificial design, the electronic interference reported by the divers, and even magnetic anomalies detected in the area. They argue that the surrounding seafloor appears disturbed, as if the object came down at speed. Could it be a remnant of an ancient extraterrestrial visitation? It's the stuff of science fiction, certainly. But it's also the kind of mystery that lingers in the imagination. Inexplicable details. As we drift deeper into this story, let's pause on a few strange details that resist simple explanation. Electrical interference. When the divers approached the anomaly, they reported failing cameras and electronics, even though the conditions should not have caused such issues. This phenomenon occurred only near the object, implying some kind of electromagnetic field or radiation. Anomalous materials. Samples retrieved from the site include materials that don't match the surrounding seabed. Some were analyzed and described as metals not naturally found in the area, though no definitive conclusions have been reached. The trail, the long runway, behind the anomaly appears to stretch several hundred feet. It's not random. It looks like something slid across the seafloor, an action not typical of stationary rock deposits. The structure's height, part of the anomaly, rises nearly 13 feet above the seabed. This isn't a small bump, it's a towering, circular structure far larger than most expected. These puzzling details keep scientists from entirely ruling out non-natural causes. Something clearly is different about this place. Limited exploration. Despite the intrigue, the Baltic Sea anomaly has not been extensively explored since 2012. Ocean X cited high costs, challenging conditions, and lack of institutional support as barriers to further investigation. Many scientists dismissed the discovery early on, labeling it as a misidentified rock formation, a sonar glitch, or pseudoscience. And funding disappeared. The anomaly still lies largely untouched at the bottom of the sea, waiting. It exists in a kind of limbo, part real, part myth. Documented, but not fully understood. And perhaps that's why it captures our imagination. Because it refuses to be neatly explained. A portal of possibility. Whether the Baltic Sea anomaly is a natural formation, a forgotten structure, or something more extraordinary, it remains a reminder of how much we don't know about our oceans. Over 80% of Earth's seafloor remains unmapped and unexplored. Entire mountain ranges, trenches, and sunken cities could lie below the waves, unknown and untouched. In this way, the anomaly becomes symbolic, not just of curiosity, but of potential. A portal not to another planet, but to the frontier of our own. It forces us to confront questions we don't yet know how to answer. It challenges the assumption that everything on Earth has been discovered, catalogued, and explained. And in that challenge, there is wonder. Closing reflections. As we rise slowly from the cold depths of the Baltic, let your thoughts linger on that strange shape resting beneath the waves. Let your imagination drift across its silent surface. Is it a temple? A machine? A ship from another world? Or simply an oddly formed rock that fools our senses and stirs our hopes? Perhaps we'll never know. But tonight, in the quiet hush of your room, let the mystery rock you gently. Let the darkness of the ocean calm you, and the unanswered questions drift through your dreams like slow-moving tides. For in the depths of the sea, and the depths of the unknown, lies a beauty that science cannot yet explain. And maybe, that's exactly as it should be. Number 8. The Devil's Sea, Japan's mysterious triangle. Beneath the soft undulations of the Pacific Ocean, just south of Japan, lies a region that mariners whisper about with uneasy reverence, an expanse of sea shrouded in enigma and whispered myth. This is the Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon's Triangle, a mirror to the Bermuda Triangle, echoing tales of vanishing vessels, strange magnetic anomalies, and unsolvable riddles of the deep. In the warm, flickering candlelight of this story, Let us take a slow, dreamlike journey to this arc of oceanic mystery, where centuries of history, mythology, and science intertwine like coral beneath the waves. A sea with many names. The Devil's Sea is known by several names. In Japan, it is called Ma-no-umi, which translates literally to the Sea of the Devil. Others refer to it as the Dragon's Triangle, a name conjuring images of ancient sea dragons twisting beneath the waves. Geographically, it lies roughly between Japan, Taiwan, and the Bonin Islands, covering a triangular section of the Philippine Sea. On a map, it appears serene, blue and boundless, but sailors and pilots tell of inexplicable happenings here. Navigational equipment malfunctions, entire ships vanish, and time itself seems to warp in strange and inexplicable ways. But before we dive too deep into modern tales, we must first glide gently back through time, to an age of legends. Ancient myths and the dragon of the sea. Japanese folklore is rich with stories of dragons, sea spirits, and dangerous whirlpools that dragged entire fleets beneath the surface. Long before satellite tracking and radar, the ocean was a realm ruled by gods and spirits. To the ancient Japanese, the sea was alive, a place where Ryujin, the dragon god, dwelled in a magnificent palace beneath the waves. It was said that Ryujin could stir storms and create whirlpools with a flick of his tail, swallowing vessels that dared venture too close. Some legends describe a mysterious fog that would drift silently across the sea, only to reveal that the ship caught within had disappeared, vanished into another realm, or perhaps into Ryujin's kingdom beneath the ocean. It's easy to brush these stories aside as myth, but what if the ancient sailors were describing real phenomena with the only language they had available? Even now, as you listen and drift deeper into this story, the boundary between myth and reality begins to blur. The disappearances that sparked global attention. While the legends are old, the Devil's Sea gained modern infamy in the 1950s, when Japan began to report unusual losses of ships and crews in the area. One of the most chilling and puzzling events occurred between 1950 and 1954, when 5 Japanese military vessels reportedly vanished without a trace. These were not small fishing boats or fragile sailcraft, but large vessels crewed by hundreds. No distress calls were received. No debris was found. Just silence. The ocean swallowed them whole. The most famous of these was the Keiomaru No. 5, a research vessel sent by the Japanese government in 1952 to investigate volcanic activity in the region. It was well-equipped, modern, and manned by a crew of over 30 scientists and sailors. They sailed into the area, and were never heard from again. Despite extensive search and rescue efforts, not a single trace of the vessel or its crew was ever recovered. The loss was so disturbing that the Japanese government declared the region a danger zone, temporarily ceasing all further research expeditions. For years, the sea remained untouched, like a haunted forest no one dared to enter. But what could have caused such a disappearance? Was it an undersea volcano erupting silently beneath them? A sudden rogue wave? Or something else? Strange phenomena, magnetic anomalies and lost time. Many who have studied the Devil's Sea report strange electromagnetic disturbances. Compasses spin wildly. GPS signals fail. Radio transmissions distort into garbled noise, as though some unseen force is interfering. Some theorists believe the region sits atop a magnetic anomaly, where the Earth's geomagnetic field behaves in unpredictable ways. This could, in theory, disrupt aircraft and ship instruments, though that does little to explain full-scale vanishings. Other witnesses have described time anomalies. In one eerie tale, a Japanese cargo ship crossing the region in the 1980s reported arriving several hours later than scheduled, despite calm weather and no apparent delays. The captain swore the journey took no longer than usual. But according to radar logs and dock records, they had seemingly lost 3 hours. What happened during that time? Were they caught in a temporal bubble? Or was it simply a malfunction in equipment? We may never know. These stories echo similar reports from the Bermuda Triangle, hinting at the possibility that both regions share a common, mysterious cause: underwater volcanoes and seismic activity. Skeptics have offered natural explanations for the vanishings in the Devil's Sea, pointing to the volatile geology of the Philippine Sea Plate. Beneath the surface lie underwater volcanoes, some active, some dormant, and many undocumented. An eruption beneath the sea can release massive gas bubbles, methane hydrates, that rapidly reduce water density and can cause ships to sink instantly. Such phenomena have been recreated in laboratory tanks. If the density of the water drops suddenly, even large vessels can lose buoyancy and slip beneath the waves in seconds. There's also the danger of underwater earthquakes and landslides, which can generate sudden tsunamis or create powerful undercurrents capable of pulling ships down. Could this explain the fate of the Ko Maru No. 5 and the others? Perhaps. And yet, no seismic activity was reported during the days those ships vanished. Once again, the scientific explanations fall just short of providing clarity. The sea refuses to give up its secrets. A modern mystery: aircraft and satellite anomalies. In recent decades, the Devil's Sea has also become a zone of interest for aviators and satellite researchers. Several commercial pilots flying near the region have described inexplicable disruptions in communication, where radio contact is lost for minutes at a time, and then mysteriously restored with no known cause. One pilot described flying over the region on a clear day when a strange greenish-blue fog enveloped the plane. For 5 minutes, all communication was lost, and instruments began to behave erratically. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the fog lifted, and everything returned to normal. Was it a weather anomaly? A pocket of electromagnetic interference? Or something less understood? Satellites, too, have shown brief moments of signal dropout over the region, though such events are often written off as technical glitches. Still, the pattern is enough to raise eyebrows among those who study the phenomenon seriously. Comparisons to the Bermuda Triangle. The similarities between the Devil's Sea and the Bermuda Triangle are difficult to ignore. Both are located near major oceanic currents. Both are home to deep-sea trenches, underwater volcanoes, and tectonic activity. And both have a long history of mysterious vanishings. Some researchers propose that these regions may lie atop natural energy vortices, areas where gravitational or electromagnetic forces behave in unique ways. Others speculate that these triangles are portals, thin places where our world overlaps with others. While science cannot confirm such ideas, they remain part of the collective fascination, an acknowledgement that our oceans hold far more mystery than we can yet comprehend. Cultural fascination and silence of the deep. Despite its ominous reputation, the Devil's Sea remains relatively under-researched compared to its Atlantic cousin. Perhaps it's the cultural influence, where Eastern restraint and reverence for nature have kept the legends quiet, while Western sensationalism brought the Bermuda Triangle into headlines. Yet for those who sailed the Pacific, the Devil's Sea is no less feared. Local fishermen speak of avoiding certain coordinates, places where compasses spin and the sea turns glassy. Some speak of hearing distant bells, chiming from beneath the water. Others tell of ghost lights, drifting like lanterns far from any shore. These stories may never make international news, but they are told around fires and at docks, passed down from one generation to the next. And perhaps that is how the mystery is best preserved. Final thoughts, where science meets the unknown. As we drift to the end of this chapter, we are left with more questions than answers. What causes the strange disappearances in the Devil's Sea? Are they the result of geological activity, magnetic disruptions, or mere coincidence? Or do they point to something we have yet to understand, something ancient, something alive beneath the ocean's veil? The sea, after all, is not just water. It is memory. It is mystery. It is a dream that refuses to end. And in places like the Devil's Sea, that dream grows deeper still. So, as you gently float into slumber, let your thoughts drift across the waves of the Pacific, where dragons still sleep below and the sea whispers secrets into the quiet night. The story continues. Number 9. Cuba's Underwater City, the sunken megaliths of the Caribbean. Let your mind drift now, gently carried by the soft, whispering current of the Caribbean Sea. The turquoise waters shimmer like liquid glass, revealing secrets known only to time. Beneath these tranquil waves, just off the western tip of Cuba's Guanahacoibes Peninsula, lies one of the ocean's most enigmatic puzzles, massive stone structures deep beneath the surface. Their silent presence challenges everything we think we know about human history and what ancient civilizations were capable of. Discovered purely by accident, this mysterious site has become one of the most debated underwater anomalies of the modern era. Often called Cuba's Underwater City, it whispers of lost cultures and ancient engineering that science has yet to fully understand. This is not just a story about stones in the sea. This is a journey through questions that remain unanswered, submerged beneath the waves, wrapped in shadow. So close your eyes, or keep them open if you wish, and let us descend slowly, gently, into a world that exists somewhere between history and legend. A discovery that sparked the imagination. It began in the year 2001. Ocean engineer Pauline Zalitsky and her husband, Paul Weinzweig, were conducting sonar surveys off the coast of Cuba. Their goal was practical: mapping the ocean floor for potential telecommunications fiber optic cable routes. But what their equipment revealed stunned them. Roughly 2,000 feet below the surface, the sonar picked up symmetrical structures. Not natural rock formations, but patterns, grids, angles, shapes that looked engineered. Massive rectangular and pyramidal features arranged in a way that resembled a ruined city, perhaps lost for thousands of years. At first, it was difficult to believe. Could such structures really exist at such a depth? And if they did, who built them? And how long ago? Intrigued, Zalitsky and her team used underwater remote-operated vehicles to capture visuals of the site. What they saw only deepened the mystery: stone formations that appeared to be built in geometric precision, forming platforms, roads, and what some even described as pyramids or step-like terraces. It was unlike anything expected in the deep sea near Cuba. Beneath the depths of time. Let's pause for a moment to consider the depth: 2,000 feet below the ocean surface. That's approximately the height of a 150-story skyscraper submerged beneath the waves. If these structures were man-made, then they must have once stood above sea level, in a time long ago, when the area wasn't flooded by the sea. But when would that have been? Some estimates suggest that sea levels would have had to rise dramatically to submerge the site, meaning, if it were once above water, it could date back 10,000 years or more. That's before the rise of known civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Sumer, or ancient Egypt. It would place these supposed builders in the realm of prehistory, during the end of the last ice age. That's when the last glacial maximum was melting, causing oceans to rise, flooding coastal areas that had been dry land for millennia. Could it be that a civilization existed on this Cuban plateau, long before history remembers? And could rising seas have buried their world forever? Science, as it stands, doesn't fully support such a conclusion. But it also doesn't explain away the mystery. A civilization forgotten? Those who have examined the images captured by the remote vehicles describe them in compelling terms. Blocks the size of small houses, carved steps, passageways, and smooth stone surfaces that hint at human touch. Of course, natural processes can sometimes produce formations that mimic human architecture. Underwater erosion, volcanic activity, and sedimentary layering can create what look like walls or roads. But the regularity of this site, its linearity and symmetry, are what set it apart. Zalitsky herself, a trained engineer, believed the site was indeed artificial. "It's not natural," she said in interviews. "It's definitely a structure made by intelligent beings. But who? And how?" Some have speculated that it could be a remnant of a Proto-Caribbean civilization, an ancient culture lost to time, whose records and oral histories were washed away by rising tides. Others go further, drawing connections to Plato's Atlantis, the legendary sunken civilization that supposedly vanished in a cataclysm. The timing seems convenient. Atlantis, if real, was said to have disappeared roughly 9,000 years before Plato's time. That would place its demise around 11,000 years ago, exactly when sea levels were rising. Is it possible that this Cuban site could be a fragment of that fabled world? There's no evidence to confirm it. But there's no evidence to deny it either. And that's what makes the mystery so haunting. Scientific silence and skepticism. Despite the initial media attention and excitement surrounding the discovery, official scientific follow-up has been minimal. Why? Part of the reason is accessibility. At such depths, human divers cannot reach the site without extreme risk. Only robotic vehicles can explore it, and those come at high cost. Another reason is skepticism. Many geologists and marine archaeologists have dismissed the structures as naturally occurring rock formations, perhaps fault blocks or basalt formations that have eroded into suggestive shapes. Others argue that the supposed roads and pyramids are examples of pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns where none exist. It's the same phenomenon that makes us see faces in clouds or figures on the surface of the moon. But those who have seen the sonar scans and footage disagree. To them, this is not just a coincidence of geology. It's something intentional, designed, and buried beneath the sea by forces we still barely comprehend. Ancient engineering? Or oceanic illusion? Let's take a moment to entertain the possibility that these structures are real, man-made, engineered, and ancient. If so, how would a civilization 10,000 years ago have possessed the ability to construct massive stone architecture? We tend to think of prehistoric humans as simple hunter-gatherers, nomadic, scattered, without the means to build cities or monuments. But new archaeological finds are challenging that narrative. Sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to around 11,000 years ago, reveal complex megalithic construction long before the advent of agriculture or known cities. Perhaps we've underestimated our ancestors. Perhaps, beneath the surface of accepted history, there are chapters we've yet to uncover. Could the underwater city near Cuba be one of those lost pages? Could it represent not just a mystery of location, but a mystery of time? A whisper from a forgotten epoch when early humans reached achievements we have not yet imagined? Political and logistical hurdles. Adding to the difficulty in solving this mystery is its location. The site lies within Cuban waters. And due to political tensions between Cuba and countries like the United States, access has been restricted. Research collaboration has been limited, and the necessary funding to explore the site thoroughly has not materialized. Zalitsky and Weinzweig, the original discoverers, expressed interest in returning to the site with better technology. But progress has been slow. Years have passed. The ocean still keeps its secret. Dreams beneath the sea. As you drift with me now through the calm and mysterious waters of the Caribbean, you can imagine these submerged monuments below you. The sea is quiet. Schools of fish glide silently past. Light from the surface filters down in shafts of blue and green, illuminating massive stone shapes on the ocean floor. You can almost hear the echoes of a civilization that once walked there, builders who watched the sunset over land that is now sea. People who lived, dreamed, and perhaps vanished without a trace. Perhaps the sea did not take them in anger. Perhaps it simply took them in silence. And perhaps one day, we'll know their story. But for now, all we can do is wonder. Let our imaginations sail over the deep. Let the unanswered questions comfort us in their beauty. The ocean does not give up its secrets easily. But in its depths, they remain, waiting, dreaming, echoing.